And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another edition here of the GSL CK number for day one. Your monthly dose of GSL CK action. I'm of course VIP with you and joined by these amazing players and of course by the lovely people in the chat as well. Welcome one and all to something a little bit different here. We just wrapped up with a GSL season 2, but GSL is not over. We've returned with some GSL CK action. For those that are maybe tuning in for the first time, GSL CK has been running all year, even pre-GSL season proper, in a different format, in a team league format. GSL CK 1, 2, 3, we did have more like a pro league GSTL-esque team league format with teams being kind of placed upon. I should say players picking, team captains picking, and vetoing, and establishing and constructing their teams and facing off against each other. And honestly, it was a really fun format. We even got to see some of the POVs as well. It was a really fun experience seeing all the player POVs, all the players that were all in Discord channels and Discord calls together. We also had a bunch of POV streams on Soup as well, and we got to see everything kind of come to fruition and a lot of really fun moments. And we even saw a bit of a splicing all of that. It was all kind of edited together in a fun little video during GSL season 2, so got to see a little bit of that from the foreigner side of things. Now we're back with GSL CK again with number 4, this time a different format. For those that are curious, for those that are tuning in, again, thanks to the support, thanks to the Patreon, thanks to Soup, thanks to the support that we've had from the community, it does mean that GSL CK has returned in a bi-monthly format. For those that are unaware, you can support the GSL via the Patreon, and with that support we were able to host GSL Season 1, Season 2, and these monthly tournaments. A bit of a different format again, as we mentioned, and let's jump into said format. This time, not a Team League show match, not a Team League series, instead we have a single elimination bracket. Let's go. Let us go. Let's jump on in. Oh. As you can see here, we have our single elimination bracket. With single elimination bracket, we have 8 players. 8 players in what, in my opinion, is a GSL versus the world style format. We have 8 players. We have 4 from Korea. We have 4 from Europa facing off here in that back and forth single elimination format. Up first, we have Maru versus Showtime, followed by Classic versus Reynor, herO versus Lambo, and Solar versus Clem. Non-stop foreigner versus Korean. Best of 5s in the quarterfinals, leading to the best of 5 semis, and then best of 7 grand finals. Let's go, baby, let's go. Also, I want to give a big shout to Soup for giving us the opportunity to jump into the Soup YouTube channel. For those that are watching, I mean, we're live on Soup on the CranKy Ducklings channel, but I believe we're going to be showcased on the YouTube channel of Soup as well. For those that may be tuning in to us for the first time, welcome with the CranKy Ducklings. We've been casting StarCraft full-time since 2020, basically since the COVID era of StarCraft. We've been casting full-time. We cast more StarCraft than anyone else out there, more than Wardy, more than Steadfast. Yo, we got to get the hours in, Pap. We got to. But I will say that 2026 has been a little bit leaner for us. We usually cast like twice a day. In 2026, we've been casting like once a day. We've been pulling it back a little bit, being a little bit more sane, a little bit more tame as well with our approach. And we've been calming down a little bit here, but we've been lucky enough, fortunate enough to cover GSL on Soup. Season 1 we casted, Season 2 we casted live, GSL CKs as well. I know that Trigger, he was covering the previous GSL CKs, but for this one I think Trigger is going to be taking a bit of a break, and we might even see Trigger now featured in some of these tournaments as well. I remember Trigger being very vocal about how he was offered to either cast or play, and he chose to cast at the time. Hopefully we're going to see Trigger compete in some of these GSL CKs as well. Hopefully. For now though, vetoes are underway. I did mention that up first is going to be Maru versus Showtime, but I believe the first series is actually going to be herO versus Lambo. They're currently conducting their vetoes as we speak, and then we'll be jumping into that initial best of 5. Let's go, baby, let's go. The other thing that I should say, I left this out actually, it's pretty important. This is not just a new format featuring a single elimination bracket. This is the PTR edition as well. True, we just got an update to the PTR, what, yesterday? it only just now dropped, the PTR, I mean the update, and of course the PTR is very controversial. we have some very interesting changes being proposed, and one thing that was a concern in everyone's mind, or in a lot of people's mind, what was a big concern was whether or not there would be an update to the PTR. And those concerns, I mean, they were founded in reality. If you recall, when it came to the previous PTR, the infamous Storm PTR, there were a bunch of changes made, but they were pushed live immediately. There was no like second iteration of PTR, which allowed us to test things. Same with the Ghost changes and the Viking changes and everything else. They just made those changes and then bam, they just sent them through. There was no testing whatsoever, essentially, which was kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, kind of wild. So because of that, a lot of people were concerned that the same thing would happen here as well. The same thing would happen in this iteration of PTR. Thankfully, there has been an update. Some feedback was provided and some feedback was listened to, and we were able to at least you know, get some kind of response to that. At least I would say there's definitely, again, discussions being had whether these changes are going to be enough, whether other changes should be proposed as well. What I'm hoping for personally is, I mean, one, we're going to be testing those changes here. True, they're going to be tested, but I would hope that we see more iteration and more kind of updates for the PTR before we push things live. Something that people have been critical of, and myself included, of course, is just how long it took for there to be an update to the PTR. It was 3 weeks before we got the update. So it's a little bit slow, but at least we got it. At least we did get it. As our players are conducting their vetoes and we're just setting things up. Yo, we got player cams as well. Let's go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. So vetoes are done. We're about to jump in. Now, I've been alluding to it. When it comes to the PTR itself, and we can get a little bit closer here. When it comes to the PTR itself, when it comes to some of the changes that have been made, we have seen changes in regards to Zerg larva production. That was one of the big concerns coming into the PTR, and something that was revealed as well through the course of testing, was that the Zerg production cycle, with a lower worker count and a later hatchery and just everything being delayed, larva wasn't quite able to keep up with that, so we do have an increase in regards to larva production. That is true. There was also a bunch of changes to Protoss production as well. Obviously, one of the big controversial changes is the change to warp gate, which it has been huge, of course, and we have seen the resources required to be invested diminished. Now, instead of 50-50 to morph into warp gate, it is 25-25. Likewise, we also see that once again, warp gate has been moved from the gateway to the cyber core instead, so back to the cyber core. This does mean that you don't have to interrupt your own production to actually get your tech going, I should say. And there were a couple of other changes as well. Un momento. Just gonna open it up. As we are jumping into our first series, again, vetoes are done. Game 1 is going to be on Winter Madness. Let's go. Sorry, quickly. So the larva spawn rate was increased. There we go. Queen mineral cost was decreased from 175 to 150. We of course had the change to overlord speed. We had warp in time slowed from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. Bearing in mind that to warp in, you still don't need a gateway alongside the pylon anymore. So that is still there, but now it's going to be slightly slower when it comes to the warp in as opposed to previously. Bear that in mind. That's going to be influential and impactful in this series as we jump into our best of 5. Let's go. Let us go. We're jumping on in and spawning in the top left-hand corner. Oh, spawning in the top left-hand corner here of Winter Madness, we have the German Zerg player. We have the Red Zerg. Oh, we have the Red Zerg player himself representing Shovel Rebellion. It is Lambo. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player representing T1. It is herO. Let's go. Let us go. We're jumping into our fresh best of 5, and we have our player cams as well. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Sorry, I was just setting up the player cams earlier, and I think I may have seen that zoomed in a little bit, but it's all good. It's all good. We got it fixed up. Got it fixed up and ready to go as we are jumping into our first game. Bearing in mind as well that I believe there was supposed to be an update to the PTR to add some of the TLMC maps, but that did not go through yet. It's possible that might be added in the next couple of days, but for the time being, we do have the current ladder map pool, not the TLMC map pool. So true, bear that in mind. Welcome to Winter Madness. Winter Madness is a larger map of the map pool, longer rush distance by ground, more defendable as a result as well. With that longer rush distance, we do see more defendable third bases, more defendable fourth bases, and typically we see a lot more longer games on Winter Madness. Not saying that you can't go into something more aggressive and you can't go into an all-in, but typically we do expect to see longer games here, as all-ins and aggression is going to be a little bit weaker here on Winter Madness. Now, when it comes to the PTR, this is actually my first time casting the update to the PTR. We've of course covered plenty of tournaments when it comes to the PTR itself, when it comes to online weeklies, but first time I'm going to be delving into the updated version, and again, we'll see how things have changed. Again, it's only just recently got updated, so I don't really know how much time or how many games our players have been able to invest into to be able to get a better feel for the PTR itself. May as well just throw them into the deep end, right? It's been, what, like less than 2 days? Bam, throw them into like a single elimination tournament. Let's go, Byron, let's go. Throw them into the bracket. Let them play, let them fight. For now, again, so far standard openers, land before stake the unnatural natural, force to expand here at the third location does make things a little bit awkward and can make things a little bit more difficult to defend your workers as they transfer in between the bases, but outside of that, we're just going to be calming things down. Standard openers, there's no early gas, no early, sorry, so I was going to say no early pool, except Lambo did threaten his pool a little bit further to the south here. Interesting. At a bit of a more peculiar location. Curious. As herO did confirm the said spawning pool. From here, Pro being chased down. Ooh, and the Adept gets here a little bit too late. Ideally, we get here 1 second earlier, we can deny the expansion, but in the end, we do get our third hatchery. Let's go. Hatchery gets thrown down, Adept pool thrown in the mineral line. So far, Lambo's keeping up, no major losses yet. Oh. Yeah, not yet. Behind this, standard follow-up, Stargate. Stargate opener here out of herO. Now, what we have been seeing when it comes to the PTR is a lot of Protoss players experiment with Robo heavy play, with Stargate heavy play as well, because of the complications with Warp Gate and the hoops that you had to go through to get into Warp Gate itself. We saw a lot of players actually step away from Gateway heavy compositions into more Robo or Stargate heavy play. Max was exploring with that a lot, herO as well, so I'm curious to see how we kind of adjust coming into the new updated PTR, especially with Warp Gate now being more accessible. More than previously. So now herO just testing the waters. Oracle will soon be moving out. So I've been talking about the changes themselves. So of course the big change here is getting into Warp Gate and getting into Warped gateways. It is a bigger hurdle to go over when it comes to how much resources you have to invest into, and because of that, we have seen a lot of Protoss players actually step away from Warp Gate and step away from Gateway heavy play and be more defensive, right? Be more defensive, turtle up on 3-4 bases, and just forego early game aggression and play more towards the mid to late game instead. That's kind of what we saw a lot of in the PTR. Thankfully, we are seeing Warp Gate being researched, and so far this build looks relatively standard as to what we would expect to see in the live version of the game. Twilight Council gets thrown down a little bit earlier than we would expect. Oracle pokes in. I say earlier, bearing in mind that because of the worker change, like all the timings are a little bit different. I will say though that this is an early Twilight Council. It's going to be a later Forge, and this might lead into say early Blink or even Glaive Adepts. The lack of Forge tells us that this is going to be a little bit more committed than we're used to. As upgrades going to be delayed. Station Trap is denied, and show us what is it going to be. Glaive Adepts. There we go. As you mentioned, this was one of the two options, either early Blink or early Glaives. Lack of Forge was a tell, and herO's here to deny the scout. Yeah, Lambert here attempts to figure out what's going on. Stalker's in position. Bearing in mind the Overlord is a little bit faster than the previous iteration of the PTR, despite that, we'll still not get the scout. As Lambo, I mean, it's going to be close. He will see the Twilight Council. Okay, does see the Council. Sees the researching, sees a gateway, and this isn't too much of a tell. The issue here is that for all Lambo knows, it could be a Forge right next to it here towards the south side. This could just be a standard follow-up. It's hard to tell. Safety Baneling Nest. Okay, Baneling Nest is going to be on the way. This is one way to defend against Mass Adept. Here's a way to defend. Oracle's a poke in. A secure way to shut this down would be with roaches, but banelings are acceptable as well. As the reps have been amassing, and here they come. Here he commits. Again, this was all 4 gateways. Bearing in mind this is not an all-in, behind this, delayed +1 into a robo, into 3-base saturation, into a macro game. This is a way to get ahead, not a way to kill. I mean, it could kill, true. So if our Lambert does fully wall off, the wall is going to be broken. The Lings, they attempt to collapse in. We do have 3 banelings morphing in. Yeah, the banelings are still on the way. Adepts, they do get into the mineral line. So far, 4 drone kills. This is so far acceptable losses, but did lose a queen. Yeah, queen went down, Spore as well. Banelings are ready. And we are denying mining. herO, does he commit? Yeah, it does commit into the main base. Sorry, Banelings are out of position. Oh, yeah, Banelings, they did not give chase. And we get another couple of drone kills. Yeah, 6 more drones go down. Banelings, they will connect. And Lambert will defend. He will defend, bearing in mind that the Spore was sniped earlier. The Oracles, they have a little bit more access. And they trade well. Shaving off more Zerglings, slowing down Lambo, and behind this, herO has a stronger economy. 68 workers here for herO, 3-base saturation. Lambo just now droning, just now saturating. Again, he didn't take game-ending damage, thankfully. Did lose mine time, did lose 6 workers, but did survive. Again, thanks to the banelings. If Lambo didn't have that safety baneling us, this would have been a very different game. Very different. So Lambo does hold. herO claiming his 4th base. Blink is on the way, +1. Remember, this was not an all-in. herO, he does have layers to this. We have the Bay on the way for Colossus, into splash damage, into that longer game state. Likewise, Lambo himself also droning, saturating. Heavily supplied block, that's 10 overlords. Ooh, a laser. Is that you, papi? Ay, ay, ay. 10 overlords in production. Heavy supply block for Lambo. Ay, ay, ay. Does slow him down as he attempts to build up into Lingbane Hydra. Now, behind this, Lambo has drawn up to 80 workers. With this economy, we can start to take up a little bit further. There's no infestation pit yet. So far, it's purely Lingbane Hydra, and we'll see if Lambo does take up into Hive. Bearing in mind the Lambo is not aware as to the follow-up. I mean, typically we expect to see Storm, but we can see it's Colossus. Lambo currently unaware. Stalkers, they poke in. Stay strapped on the Zerglings. You have plenty more traps behind this as well. So nice pressure here by herO. Ooh, catching us some banelings. So far, these have been some good trades. And again, what's important here is that herO, he's applying pressure. He's denying any creep. He's keeping a Lambo busy, getting more drone kills here across the map, while herO techs up. This entire time, herO is making probes and making Colossus. Ooh. Yeah, boys are being pulled. More drones going to be going down. This is getting out of hand. 8 drones? Oh my god. 9 drones going down. And 9 drones do fall. Another massive stasis trap. Lamb is being torn apart. Yeah, it's being torn apart here. 9 drone kills. That's more damage than the previous Glaive Adept push, to be honest. That's a lot of damage for 2 Adepts. herO races back, and now we have Colossus ready. 1, soon to be 2. Soon to be 2 Colossi. Lambo, he's committed. You can see Lambo didn't redrone. He did not redrone. He had 80 workers earlier, now down to 73, and that purely making Lingbane Hydra and no Hive. No Hive, no infestation bit. Lambo's all in. He's going for a big lair tech all in, maxing out with Lingbane Hydra. He has to end the game. He has to cripple the economy at least. Yeah, it's all or nothing for Lambo. Lings, they do get into the mineral line. Bailing speed is done. We come in from behind. We get the surround. Yeah, we attempt the surround here. Bailings, they don't quite break through. Ooh, they break through the mineral line at least, and they get on top of the Colossus. Massive connections here. 1 Colossus goes down. He gets 1. And can he get the other? He can. Yeah, hero's cornered. He's cornered. He's trapped. Though no batteries, no defensive setup here, and herO will lose everything. The base and the army. And Lambo, he snowballs out of control. He snowballs out of control. He breaks the base. He can just keep going from here. We see herO trying to take up into Sky Toss, but it's too late. Too late, Pappy. Yeah, it's too little too late. As Lambo, he's overwhelming. Funnily enough, herO, he has cannons set up here, batteries as well. This would have been a much stronger position to defend on, but herO, he did commit to defending his 4th base. He got surrounded, he got locked down. And Lambo looking to keep things off with a lead here, with a win in this best of 5. As hero's losing all his cannons, being forced further back, he's down to 1 Colossus. Oof. And there's no stopping Lambo. There's no stopping Lambo. takes down both of the oracles. And again, herO did an amazing job harassing. Like, I don't want to take away from that. herO, he was popping off with the adepts, he was doing so much, he was building up the Colossus, but again, just a really rough defense here at the 4th base led to this outcome. And with that, we're down to a handful of adepts. We got 1 observer. GG gets called, and Lambo takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Again, GG, well played. Lambo does take lead in the series. Again, herO, he honestly had a really strong opener when it comes to the adept damage, when it comes to the follow-up as well, when it comes to the stalkers being active on the map as well. It just came down to the main push here from Lambo, committing on 4 bases, cutting workers at 73, maxing out with Lingbane Hydra. This is also a situation where herO, if he had a bit of a different setup or just a different approach, then I could definitely see a defense happening there. Because it was purely Lingbane Hydra, this is where sentries and force fields can excel. Likewise, on top of that, we saw that, I mean, what was more important than that, I would say that herO, he was cornered, right? Like, he was forced to be pushed further back into his 4th base. There was no way to kite back, and likewise, he had no defensive setup at his 4th base either, like he did at his 3rd. So just a really unfortunate position for herO to try to hold on to try to defend. But GG. GG, well played with that Lambo. He snowballs out of control, and now we're jumping to game number 2, going to be loading into Ruby Rock. Let's go. Let us go. Likewise, you can also argue that the gateway army there from herO is going to be a little bit smaller because we're spending resources on the warp gates themselves to be able to reinforce, to be able to actually get into the production as well. That is also another factor, is that herO's army is going to be smaller than on the live version of the game. That is true. But here we go. So we're loading into game number 2. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the German Zerg player. We have the blue Zerg leading the series 1-0. It is Lambo. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Protoss player. We have the South Korean Protoss representing T1. It is herO. I'll fix up the colors. Beautiful. As we are jumping into game number 2 here, and welcome to Ruby Rock. Ruby Rock is a smaller map of the map pool, shorter rush distance by ground, and aggression is typically more favored here. Speaking of aggression, we saw last game, both players did build up to a 4-base economy. Lambo at one point even had 80 workers, and then off of that bolstered economy was able to just commit and just hammer down that lair tech all in, going Lingbane Hydra. Here on Ruby Rock, we don't really expect the players to build up into as high of an economy. We're expecting aggression off of 3 bases instead of 4. Those are our expectations. We'll see if our players meet those expectations, or if we take a different route. Already, gateway in the main. Huh. So usually we expect to see our initial SimCity setup here on the low ground, but I guess because of the low worker count, there's potential for, say, an earlier pool and more aggression. herO's taking a much safer approach here with this production setup, but this does make it more difficult to set up on the low ground later to expand. So interesting decision here from herO. Something that's very rare in PvZ, to be honest. Very rare. Likewise, no probe scout. Wait, what? Huh. Hold on, I'll let him cook. What's going on? So 0 probe scout out of herO. Blind hyper defensive setup in the main. Going gate cyber expands. Interesting. But again, this does mean that the wall here on the low ground is going to be that much weaker. It's going to be that much later. There's going to be some aggressive opportunities for Lambo early on. And Lambo, he will scout, he will confirm. Like, typically, if the second pylon is going to be down here on the low ground, if we open up Stargate, is the Stargate going to be a part of the wall? That'll just be free information for Lambo when it comes to the Stargate, when it comes to the building or the unit being made from the Stargate as well. Curious. So again, Lambo should have free vision of whatever gets thrown down here. Now Lambo pulls out of gas, only link speed, so we're not going into, say, an early Roach Warren or an early Baneliness. He's not tempted to all in, at least not with a higher form of tech. For now, just droning. Droning, saturating. Stargate further back in the main. again, like I feel uncomfortable. Like not even a Protoss player, but like looking at this setup here, like, oh my god, it feels crazy. It's wild, pappy. As herO now starts working on the wall. And we're calming down. So from here, we're just going to be joining up. When it comes to Rebroadcast itself, we alluded to aggression and how we have a shorter rush distance by ground. On top of that, the third base is more open and more accessible. Likewise, there's that pathway leading directly into the third. There's no like high ground advantage or elevated position here. Likewise, we do see a bit of a more accessible linear third base as well. And this area in between the bases can also be pounced upon. You can also take control of this central area to outposition your opponents and potentially push directly into the natural as well. So eyes are going to be on Lambo to see how aggressive he plans on being. This time, Roach Warren gets thrown down. Remember, last game, what was the tech of choice? Baneley Nest, right? It was Ling Bane Hydra out of Lambo. This time, early Roach Warren, no early Evo Chamber. This time, a much more Roach heavy start. This could also be leading into Muta play. It is not uncommon to open Roaches and then go for a Lair and then go for a Spire thereafter as well, assuming we even get a Lair. So eyes are on Lambo. We'll see how committed he's going to be, whether this is for safety or to commit into a Roach heavy style. Now Lambo does get eyes on the third. The Oracle is staying back. Funnily enough, herO has seen nothing this game. He has zero vision, zero scouting, not even with the Oracle. Forge is going to be thrown down as a part of the wall. This is a Forge before Twilight Council this time. Interesting. Remember, last game we did take note of the fact that we had a very late Forge. That was one of the signs of Glaive Adepts. Here, very early Forge as opposed to that. I'm not really used to seeing a Forge this quickly with the Twilight Council being so late. Oracles, they move in, they get 1, 2, up to 3 drone kills. The Oracles, they overstay their welcome a little bit here, but 4 drones go down and the Oracles do barely get away. At the same time, Lambo does move in, and can we force a cancel? We get a surround. There we collapse on the Adepts. Oracle's out of position, we're going to get 1, we might even get a Stalker. And we have plenty more Adepts here to protect the Stalker, but that's still going to be 2 Adepts going down. Nice pickoffs, nice damage. Again, Lambo abusing the fact that the Oracles did move out, and do you see what I see? I see a German taxi. From the German himself, true. Lambo did popularize this build a long time ago, but we have numerous carry base on the way. We have the Lair lined up as well. We spoke earlier how aggression is favored on Ruby Rock, and hey, we're seeing that aggression. We also said that, hey, we expect aggression under 4 base economy. Here it is, 53 workers, Roaches, Queens, and Drop Lords are coming. So we're loading up, we're setting up those taxis, we're about to be loading up for the all-in across the map. herO's throwing down 1 battery here at his third. I don't believe herO's confirmed this. And again, herO, his tech is late. Remember, it's late blink this game because of the early Forge and the early +1, and that's going to hurt more than help, right? The early +1 is going to be hurting here. Adept satiate into the mineral lines, a couple of drones do go down. I mean, this is nice damage, the Roaches are spotted, and now herO knows. And now herO's more aware. Now you can see him throw down a wall of shield batteries, but this is too late. The realization is too late, papi. Ay. The army is here. That's a little links going down to the Oracles. Queens, they drop in. Yeah, Queens will distract. Clutch Transfuse. Barely keeping 1 Queen alive. Dropping over the wall. The natural's been broken, and all these batteries don't matter. These batteries at the third base, they do not matter. We're breaking the natural. Ooh, the Oracle gets sniped. 1 Oracle left. And we're breaking through. We're just busting on through here. Stasis trap will not complete. Stalkers get zoned away. They are going to be safe here at the third location, but the natural is vulnerable. The natural's exposed and it's being broken. +1 may actually finish. It may kick in, but GG gets called. With that Lambo, he will claim a 2-0 lead in the series. GG. Whew. Actually, can I do this? Ah, there he is. Ah, let's go. Este Lambo. But here we go. GG well played. Again, winding it back here, Lambo, going for the all-in, going for the German taxi. Again, herO, he was working with very little information this game. No probe scout, delayed Oracle move out as well. And we saw that by the time herO realized what was going on, it was too late. You saw him react with all those batteries, but that was already when the all-in was coming across the map, already knocking down that front door. Right, it was already too late at that point, and with that Lambo, he did overwhelm. Did break through. Likewise, the build itself also was hurting herO, as we try to emphasize. The early Forge and early +1 doesn't really matter when the game is going to end before +1 kicks in. This means that Blink was late, right? Blink was delayed in favor of +1, so that also, again, was working against herO. herO was kind of setting up for a longer game, was setting up for the mid game, but the game ended before we got there. GG. GG, well played, and with that, we're going to be loading into game number 3. Potentially the final game of the series. Oh my god. Potentially. I should also mention as well that because of the way the warp gate works as well, like there is a higher chance that Protoss players, and herO last game as well, like he was a little bit less, he was more reluctant to move out with the oracles, to be active on the map early on, just to be safe because he was working with so little information, but also because he had no reactive warp-ins either early on as well, right? That was not going to be as much of a factor. But here we go. We'll get into it. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of the Old Republic, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the red Protoss down in the series. Can he bounce back, and can he make a series out of this? It is herO. Oh, that's the... hold on. There we go. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player, the blue Protoss himself, the German... Sorry, a little bit out of it. The German Zerg player for Shopify, it is Lambo. Sorry, switching colors. There we go. Beautiful. So I was just setting up our players, setting up the casting tool before jumping in. Whew, aye. But again, it was a really peculiar build that we saw out of herO. Again, limited vision, limited scouting, limited harass with the Oracle, and also a greedier build as well on a smaller map. In the end, it did fall apart there for herO. It felt like the build itself was a little bit more experimental, and I could see it working better on a larger map like this. Welcome to the Old Republic. I can definitely see you getting away with a little bit more greed here, as this is a larger map. On a map like Ruby Rock, though, I feel like that's a map that you can't really be that greedy on, be that experimental, as you'll get punished, you'll get all in. Meanwhile, welcome one and all to the Old Republic. Again, larger map of the map pool, longer rush distance by ground, but there are other features here. The biggest one, of course, is how accessible the 4th and 3rd bases are. We have seen many a Protoss player and Terran player struggle to expand on this map in the live version of the game, let alone the PTR, so this is where I lean towards Lambo. This is where I'm going to be leaning towards Lambo here. This is a map where typically Zerg players are much more comfortable on. We typically expect 3 to 4 base all-ins. So cutting workers at 70 or cutting workers at 80 and committing on Lingbane Hydra is very, very common on the Old Republic. Otherwise, we could see Muta play as well. That's something that we have not yet experienced from Lambo in this series, but something that we can always kind of mix in every now and then as well. Of course, some maps are better than others, just in regards to the layout of the maps, a layout of the bases, and trying to maneuver between them. We'll see. For now, pulls out of gas, just getting link speed, droning, saturating, and soon to be claiming a 3rd base as well. Everything's looking standard from Lambo. Likewise, once again, Stargate opener out of herO. Now, when it comes to the early game, herO should be fine when it comes to building up and claiming a 3rd base. This time, herO does probe scout. True, I should emphasize that, considering the fact that we had 0 scouting last game until far, far later. herO pokes in, throws down the pylon, will attempt to delay. Ideally, we delay and we buy enough time for the Adept to arrive, but Lambo, he just expands on the low ground. Oh my god, no fear. Yeah, no fear out of Lambo, does expand here on the low ground. This is a more exposed expansion, that is true, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. It also means that Lambo can spread creep across the map even faster with this forward 3rd base. I mentioned earlier that we expect aggression on this map, and this is a bit of a sign of that to come. It is a sign, it's a bit of a tell. Meanwhile, Void Ray. Void Ray opener out of herO, not Oracle. With this, we can hunt down the Overlords, we can deny vision, deny scouting. This can lead into, say, a Tempest Rush. Doesn't have to, but it does suddenly allow the Protoss player to hide their tech and be a little bit more experimental with it, a little bit more cavalier, a little bit more bold. Of course, the real strength behind a Void Ray opener is that the Zerg player doesn't know. It could be a Fleet Beacon into a second Stargate into a Tempest Rush, it could be a Twilight Council into like a charge-based all-in, or it could be a standard game, a Forge, a Twilight Council, and a +1 and Blink. Could be standard, could not be. Regardless, it's harder to scout. But now Lambo joining back at home, saturating his bases. So far, so good. Oh, second Void Ray. Hello. You have my attention here. Making a second Void Ray here is much more peculiar. You only need one to hunt down Overlords. Getting a second one is a sign of things to come. Are we planning to go for a Fleet Beacon in the second Stargate? Are we planning to go into charge? There it is. +1 air attack. We're going for the Sky Toss. We're going for Sky Toss. We're going into the rush. Technically, as the Ling does... this looks like Warp Gate. True. We did skip Warp Gate earlier, so this actually doesn't really confirm. Seeing the Cybercore research like this is no confirmation. Second Stargate's on the way. Now, the question becomes, is this going to be the beginning here of a rush into Tempest or Carriers, or are we just going mass Void Ray into a ground army as well? Now, Lings they poke in. They don't really see anything yet. The additional Void Rays should be remaining hidden in the main. So far they are. Likewise, Lambo is joining, saturating once again, going for a Roach Horn into an Evo Chamber, into a lair as well. Taking his gases, building up into the mid-game. There's no major signs of aggression here. Lambo has already surpassed the drone count of the previous game. Remember, last game we caught workers at around 53. Here we're already at 67. So we're droning, saturating. Personally, I'm still waiting for either a Fleet Beacon or a Twilight Council. I'm waiting for one or the other. We're still just going mass Void. Oh my god, we're going we're going back to 2020. Ay. The COVID era of StarCraft. There are some dark and repressed memories there. There it is. There's that Fleet Beacon. Meanwhile, Lambo is going for the Spire. If you recall, we did bring this up last game when we saw the Roach Warren, talking about how Spire play and Muta play is something that you can get into post Roach Warren. We're seeing that here. I'm not saying that Lambo is aware of the attempted mass Void Ray, not at all, but he himself is just getting ready for Muta play, and he will have access to Corruptors. Now he knows. Yeah, now he sees, now he knows. Does spot the mass Void Ray, fully aware. Winning Queens. And you can see here more Queens are being built, they're being produced. Queen production has begun, and Queen alongside Corruptors can hold their own against Void Rays. Corruptors by themselves, they just melt, they just evaporate. But alongside support, alongside Transfuse, different story. Mothership is on the way. Rushing into the Mothership. Oh, actually no, we're committing to the mutas, okay. We are committing. I'm curious if if Lambo commits to hunting down these voids, or if he just goes across the map with the mutas and just hits the mineral lines. Like, we could just ignore this. Like, the Queens are holding their own. Yeah. Queens, they hold their own. Lambo, he cuts workers at 70. Did lose a fourth expansion. That is true. But he commits. Voiders in position. Roaches are deflected. So far, nice deflection. Here we got Flux Veins on the way. Do you have our Flux Veins? How many meters have we built up? So far 12. Soon to be 14 meters. Queens are keeping up. And ideally, regardless of how the fight ensues, Lambo, he wants to fight on his terms with his Queens. As another expansion is denied. Massing out more Queens. Sorry, more mutas, I meant to say. Building on more mutalisks. Carrier production has begun. We are trying to rush Carrier. This is where I become a little bit concerned here for the Mass Muta. Mass Muta, it's going to have like one big surprise factor. That is true, and can very quickly overwhelm. But as time goes on, here he is looking to perfect his army. Of course, there's still no splash damage. There's no Archons, there's no High Templar, there's no Storm. So mutas can still excel. And they will hit the natural. Complete surprise, nothing in position. Yeah, there's nothing here. Nothing here. Getting up to 11 probes. Oh my god, so quickly. 12 probes go down, diving into the main base, going for the production. At the same time, the queens, they try to break forward. They distract the main army. Void Rays do respond. They're on their own. They're being focused down. Getting 1, 2, 3 Void Rays. Getting up to 3, getting up to 4. We could just get all 5. Massive pickups here. Carriers that will deflect. Queen's moving in. Cloak was already activated, so no more cloak. Oh, and this is going to be a one-way trip for the queens. I'm a little bit concerned. As the carriers, they're going to be responding. Queens are moving in. Mutas are being thrown away. And I don't think these queens can make it back home here. They have to make a stand. As we have how many carriers so far? 4. 4 carriers so far. Queens being focused down. Getting 1, 2, 3 queens. Does take down the mineral line at least. But we have to get out of here. Like, we gotta... So some hefty losses here to Lambo, losing the majority of the queens. That's what, 8 queens going down. And behind this, now we have the corruptors on the way. So that was a big overextension here from Lambo. Catching out some of the workers was nice and all, but losing all those queens does hurt. You can see here Lambo's rebuilding those queens. Has to rebuild. You could make an argument that it might have been worth it just to kill all those workers, just to keep the economy low for herO, because this is slowing him down, right? herO, he's now going to mass Phoenix, but this is too late. We're done with mutas. It's corruptor time. It's time for the corruptors. We're done with the mutas. So hero's getting baited into Phoenixes. Whereas right now, Archons would be ideal, right? We need Archon, Storm. As hero's going pure Sky Toss. He's again, very like 2020-esque. I do recall a bunch of games there where players would just go pure Sky Toss and at times to their own detriment would avoid spellcasters and avoid Archons. But there it is, Twilight Council is now on the way. Second Cybercore. This is the first sign of Storm of Archons. Hero's getting there. It's getting there. Lamber's maxing out. We have how many corruptors? We have 19. 19 corruptors. 10 queens. Hive is on the way. I will say that the infestation bit was late. We did notice that it was thrown down after the fact. So late infestation bit, late hive. Late spellcasters. And herO, he's turtling up very hard here. Cannons, shield batteries. Once again, the National's exposed. Still no stack defense here in the mineral line. Ay, ay, ay. The space is going to go down. Army has to respond. And we do pick up a couple of free Phoenixes. And pulls away, kill the expansion. Lings being deflected. Did notice Warp Gate finishing up, or on the way. But I don't believe there's a Temple Archives yet. Yeah, not yet for herO. Bold position here, going for the Temple Archives. Bold position just because specifically this area is very vulnerable. There's a world where these corruptors can go back in and they can potentially even snipe some of this tech. So very vulnerable tech structures. There we go. herO, he starts throwing down cannons, aware, I'm sure, of just how vulnerable the tech is. hero's maxing out. I would say these Phoenixes at this point are dead supply and he does want to get rid of them. As there are 2 Mutalisks. As things they flood in, the walls of the wall. herO! But these things, they shouldn't really get much done here. They nibble away at the workers. They get a full scout confirming the mass carrier. How many carriers do we actually have here? 11! Okay, Jesus. 11 carriers. And Storm has begun. Now, we do not expect herO to push until Storm finishes. So he's been defending and turtling up this entire game. Once Storm is done, and once we have some High Templar and some Archons, then herO can push. Right? Then he'll be able to perfect his army. And here they come. High Templar now morphing in. This is where, there we go. This is where we need Lambert to set up his Spore Forest. So we have the spores being set up, but more bases being taken. Claiming more map control. Vipers, they move in, they get 1, 2 abductions, nice pickups. Yeah, Storm is not yet ready, so no punish. Getting a 3rd carrier, very nice. Getting to 4. 4 carriers go down. And again, a big reason why this could happen is because there was no punish with the Ground Army, with High Templar, with Archons, with Storm. Now we have Tempest on the way. This is why, like, there's some people that sometimes bring up carriers and be like, oh, yeah, why don't players like play with more mass carrier in late game ZVP? Well, carriers are inferior to Tempest when it comes to these kind of late game compositions. Tempest, because of their greater range and because of ideally Revelations, they can punish the Vipers as they try to abduct. Meanwhile, carriers with their lower range and their lower ability to punish, they just get picked apart. Like, at this stage of the game, we want to get rid of these carriers. We want more Tempest. We still need to perfect this army. As the era of carrier has come and gone. Meanwhile, Ultra production has begun. So a nice addition here to the army for Lambo. When it comes to Ultra Tech and Ultra Play, the goal here is to force out Storms and to catch the High Templar. Bearing in mind that ideally the army here is going to be Tempest, Mothership, Archon, High Templar. And if Ultras can get on top of the Templar, they'll be able to shut them down, or at least force all the Storms, which will allow the air army to move in. So the Ultras, they have a job to do. Well, let's go. Going for the Microbial Shroud. Fungal and Parabomb combo here on the Void Rays. Ooh, and the army is stacking. Army does stack. This will strip away the shields at least. I'll strip the shields away. We have 6 more Templar morphing in. Yeah, here come the first wave of Archons. I love that Lamb is doing all this with just one Ultralisk. Just the one. It's putting in the work. Oh no. Flash transfuse. So let's keep the Ultra alive. Here is now established a 5th expansion. It's up and running. Slowly claiming more bases. herO being very bold here. Gotta be careful. Pushing deep onto creep. Now engaging with the Spore Forest. Oh, Fungal does land. Looking down the army, and we tried to dive in. Nice Storms. Yeah, nice Storms. Nice feedbacks as well. Oh my god, massive Storms on the army. Corruptors that get zoned away. But do we have another Storm? Oh, we do. Yeah, another Storm zones. Queens are falling, but we're running out of support here. There's no more Storm. Yeah, no more Storm, no more Archons. We gotta recall. We gotta get the hell out of here. Yeah, there's no supportive army. Ultras did well. And herO lost everything. Or he lost the majority of his forces. herO losing 7 carriers. Losing all of his High Templar. You saw that as soon as the Templar and Archons went down, bam, we could just collapse in. As it could collapse in. And with that fight going awry, hero's stuck at home. He's stuck at home, he has to rebuild his army, got more Void Rays on the way, Immortal production has begun, we knew there's Immortals for the Ultralisks. But I believe there's only one Robo. Yeah, only one Robo. The reality is that herO doesn't have the bank to sustain this. You can see that herO, he has no gas bank. He has no gas. So these have been some expensive losses. You can see herO warping in Zealots. The soup is lying. The supply, I mean. Corruptors that dive in. Nice snipe. We do tank a lot of Storms, though. That's a lot of Storms on the Corruptors. Mothership did go down. Maybe yeah, we gotta calm down with these spores. We don't really have the supportive army for it. Nice Zealot run by. As also catch out 6 more workers. Distracting Lambo. As run by as they continue. I mean, hey, it's a good way to make use of the mineral bank at least. As also make their way across the map, they find more drone kills. Tempest are reamassing. We're making 3 Immortals at a time as we're up to 3 Robos. Jesus. It's a lot of Robos. But for the most part, Lambo should be okay here. Again, Lambo, he's built up his ultra count, he's built up his bank as well. 8,000 minerals, 5,000 gas. With herO pushing onto creep and pushing forward here, it's going to be so difficult to gain ground as Lambo can afford to rebuild and remax. herO, he has to hope that he's able to dominate a fight, then push forward, then knock down bases. Like, yes, he has to take advantage of that window of that timing after taking a very strong fight. It's only if he can take it, though. Otherwise, Lambo, he can remax. Oh, that's a kill, not a cancel. We're slowly gaining ground, throwing down the wall of cannons. Let's go. And he's setting up here in the center of the map. Claiming the high yield gas base as well. I would say this is a little bit on Lambo. Ideally, this base would have been taken earlier and Lambo could have taken some resources away from herO. Oh. So we land a couple of feedbacks. Yeah, massive storm. The fumble, though. Yeah, it does land the fumble. The Ultras are going to be moving in. Trying to get them over the High Templar. Storms, they do graze the army. We collapse here on top of the Tempest, and Tempest are going to be going down. Yeah, massive pickups, and with that Lambo, he does it. Crushes the main army. Tempest go down, and herO cannot keep up. Not like this. Yeah, hands off the keyboard. Ay, ay, ay. And GG gets called. Lambo, he will claim the series 3-0. GG. Whew. I want to show Lambo for a little bit. GG. GG. Well, he's so happy. Kappa. GG, well played. Lambo does claim the series. Speaking a little bit about that last game here, bearing in mind that, once again, this is something that we have been seeing quite a lot of in the PTR, and this is more hyper defensive play. We've been vocal about it. If you haven't tuned into our discussions on the PTR, you may not be familiar. But due to the changes to Protoss in the PTR, it has made Protoss players be more defensive. It has made them be less aggressive. The reasoning for this is because the commitment into a gateway composition is now greater. It takes more resources. So we've been seeing a lot of this from players like herO, MaxPax as well, experimenting with the idea of being hyper defensive and getting into Sky Toss and trying to turtle up. But as we saw here, Lambo, he was already set up with the Spire. He dealt a lot of damage early on. It took a really long time for herO to really get the ball going, and even then he was stuck with, I'm still against the idea, and I should have vocalized this a little bit more at the time, about going into 11 plus carriers. Like, it was a heavy carrier count. As he mentioned, carriers don't really scale too well into a longer game, so here he was stuck maxed out with mass carrier. He had to lose that army, rebuild, refine his army as well, but he had to do that so often. Meanwhile, Lambo was able to build up that massive bank, and there was nothing to really stop him. We had some really nice Zealot run buys, of course, credit where credit is due. Really nice Zealot run buys out of herO to get some economic damage, but by then Lambo, he already had 8,000 minerals in the bank, right? He could afford those losses at that time. It was a little too late to deal that economic damage. And with that, GG. With that, GG, well played. With that, Lambo, he will claim the series. He will advance on in the brackets, and let's catch up. Let's catch up with the bracket. Let's figure out where we are and where we are headed. Let's go. Let us go. So as you can see here, Lambo, he does advance on to face off against the winner of Solar and Clem in the next round in the semifinals. Likewise, in the upper portion of the bracket, we do have Maru, Showtime, Classic, and Reynor looking to face off as well. Every series will be casted. Bear that in mind. We'll be covering all the series, covering all the matches. And again, Lambo, he is done for the day. Bearing in mind, this is a 2-day event, so we just covered day one. Sorry, we're covering day one here, which is the quarterfinals. Tomorrow will be the semis and grand finals thereafter. For now, we're going to be going on a short break. Videos are underway, and we'll soon be back with our next matchup. We'll soon be back with our next series. We'll see you soon after that break. See you soon. Bye. See you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to the 2026 GSL CK number 4, day 1, our second series of the broadcast. Do apologize for the extended break. Do apologize, but we were just getting our players ready. Vitas are now done. Cameras are set, and we are getting ready for our second series, another PvZ, Reynor versus Classic. Oh boy. And I do think it's quite fortunate that we get to experience this matchup as often as we are tonight, just because this is one of the more impacted matchups on the PTR because of the warp gate changes, because the economy changes as well. We saw in the last series that herO was having a very hard time kind of building up or even just approaching the mid game. We saw in that final game attempted to rush into Skytos. We saw previously attempted adept aggression as well, but struggling to defend. Something that I should have emphasized, I don't think it really impacted the games themselves, but the battery is also a little bit weaker. When it comes to the update to the PTR, the starting energy on the battery goes from 100 down to 75, even for batteries back at home. So it does mean that those batteries are going to be starting with less energy. That is going to be a little weaker. That does make for a more difficult defense, but I say it doesn't really impact the game because that doesn't really influence what happened in game 3 or even in game 1, where herO fought without any batteries at his 4th base, if you recall, in Winter Madness. So something to bear in mind. Didn't really impact the state of play in the previous games. Even game 2 on Ruby Rock, if you remember, herO didn't see the all-in until it was too late, and the batteries were at the 3rd base when the attack happened at the natural. So like that doesn't really impact things there either, but something to bear in mind, as that will, I'm sure, come up at some point in this series. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss representing Virtus Pro. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Zerg player, the Italian Zerg representing Basilisk. It is a Reynor. Ah, beautiful. Oh my god. As we have both Reynor alongside Classic stepping into the ring. Let's go. Let us go as we're jumping into our best of 5 into our fresh series here. Game 1 is going to be on Ruby Rock. We spoke about this previously, but Ruby Rock is a smaller map of the map pool. Aggression is typically more favored here. Shorter rush distance by ground, more open and accessible 3rd and 4th bases, and area in between the bases as well. And this culminated in Lambo going for a big 3 base all in, 2.5 base all in, really the German taxi. And herO, he didn't see it coming. Remember, herO, he had no probe scout that game. He had limited oracle scouting as well, and herO didn't see the all in coming until it was already too late. I'm not saying that we'll see that here, but that's what we saw previously between Lambo and herO. We'll see how Reynor does approach instead, as already going for the forward natural base. So the unnatural natural here for Reynor. Because this forward expansion, it does mean the creep will be spreading across the map faster. This may impact the game. It's something in the back of my mind, at least, is the potential for faster creep. So we have that forward expansion. Likewise, we do see Classic setting up here on the low ground, standard opener here at Gateway into Nexus. Once again, I wouldn't be surprised if for both of these players, it's their first time playing on the updated version of the PTR. I'm hoping they looked into it. I hope so. Has now gate expanded to Cybercore, standard opener out of Classic. Likewise, Reynor settling in as well. Nothing crazy, nothing wild. We're really going to be looking at the gases to see if Reynor stays in, if he pulls out, what tech we get into, whether we open up into an early Evo chamber, early Roach Horn, early Lair instead. Likewise, we'll keep an eye on Classic on his pylon placement and on his tech of choice, whether it's going to be Stargate or whether it's going to be Twilight Council or even Robo. As I mentioned previously, we have been seeing some of the Protoss players experiment a little bit with robo-heavy play. We have seen that from Max Pax, for example, in the PTR weeklies. Have seen him experiment. But now they're just calming down. Just calming things down, hunting down the scouting worker. Shutting down Classic. And we have a tech of choice, going to be the Stargate opener. Okay, going to be opening up Stargate into Oracle, into Harass across the map. I mean, I'm assuming Oracle, technically we could see a Void Ray based opener as well, but I'm not really too fond of the idea of going Void Ray and trying to rush into tech on such a small map like Ruby Rock. It would be quite risky to open Void Ray here, I feel. Bring that up just because we did already see some Void Ray play earlier in the broadcast. Now they were calming down. Adept does shade in towards the natural. Gets one drone already. Ooh, almost two. Does shade away. Shades away. One drone kill, not bad. Second Adept does move out. And so does the Oracle. Oh, sorry, as the Oracle is now just starting. I'm used to this being lined up. Now Clash is just poking, prodding, pulls away in position to expand and claim the third. And Reynor's here to attempt to delay. Speaking of, does get us around. The Oracle is, oh, not going to be out in time. That's going to be a cancel. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, brutal cancellation. Nice pick off here by Reynor. Denies the third base. Does rotate over. The Oracle thankfully is out in time and will deflect the Lings. But so far, good damage. And interestingly enough, it's not Void Ray first, it's Void Ray second. Huh. Okay. So Oracle first into Void Ray, still designed to hunt down Overlords, as it's going to be a Lair first out of Reynor. We're popping off. So once again, running it back. Interesting choice here. Now we see why. So we do see a delayed Void Ray opener into a second Stargate into Mass Void Ray. This is looking very similar to what we saw previously. Meanwhile, early Lair out of Reynor. That is a Lair before Roach Warren and before Evo Chamber. This was around a 4:30-ish Lair timing. With the early Lair, this is going to gain access to a fast Spire or a fast Hydra Den. Both tech structures are going to be available earlier than normal, and we'll see what we get into. We'll see if Reynor can piece together what's going on. We shall see. Overlord is hunted down. Lings they poke in. Void Ray is revealed. Seeing a Void Ray after the Oracle is suspicious, for sure. It is definitely suspicious. And what's it going to be? Lair is now done. If we go for an early Hydra Den, there is going to be a timing here. There's going to be a window in time where we can go for a big, like, Ling Hydra all-in and just break the third. For now, we do scout a second Void Ray. Massive scouts. He knows. Yeah, he knows. Bam, there's a Hydra Den. And there is going to be that window where we can go for a Hydra all-in. Again, it's very abnormal to have a second Void Ray out at the stage of the game. So good call out of Reynor. And it's going to be a tough hold. If you recall, we spoke about this at the very beginning of this game, actually. I was like, I'm not really too fond of the idea of going Void Ray opener here on Ruby Rock because you do leave yourself vulnerable and all-ins are favored on this map. And I have to echo that sentiment here, right? Like, defending the store base is going to be so difficult on this map, and going Mass Void Ray does leave you vulnerable. Here come the Hydras. It's just a little bit unlucky. It's a little bit unlucky here. And by unlucky, I mean that Reynor went Lair first, right? If he had gone for an earlier Roach Warren to play a little bit safer, or to go into, say, Evo Chamber and a +1 melee into a later Lair timing, then Classic would have more time, but that's not the case here. Because here comes the all-in. So Reynor is going to cut workers at 68. That is 3-base saturation. Moving out with this creep. If you remember at the very beginning of the game, we spoke about how with this forward expansion we can spread creep faster, and there it is, halfway across the map. It all played into each other. Forward base, faster creep, earlier Lair, earlier Hydra Den, into our Hydra all-in. And here comes Reynor. Again, not the same all-in we saw out of Lambo, but here nonetheless. Hydras have arrived, they knock down the front door. We got Void Rays to defend against Mass Hydra. Ay, ay, ay. There are no batteries. Sorry, there's one. There's one battery in the mineral line. And Void Rays, they just go down. They just go down one after the other. 1, 2, 3, 4 Void Ray kills. And with that, Reynor, he has broken through. He will overwhelm. And Reynor, he will snowball out of control. Again, it was a very risky maneuver here for Classic to go into a Void Ray rush like this. It was just very unfortunate that the Reynor was set up directly to just hard counter to go Mass Hydra. GG gets called. And Reynor takes the lead in the series. Whew. GG. GG well played. Reynor does take a lead. Again, just a really unfortunate turn of events when it comes to the build orders themselves. When it comes to Classic blindly going into Mass Void Ray and Reynor blindly setting up for, I say blindly setting up for Hydras, blindly going for the earlier Lair, but also the Hydra Den was a reaction. He scouted. Remember, he scouted with the Zergling. He saw the second Void Ray. I would say that was a little bit on Classic, that he should have kept that second Void Ray hidden in the main to build them up and back them up and keep them hidden. That's something that he failed to do and failed to accomplish, and it prompted Reynor to go into the Hydra Den. But it is possible that he would have rushed Hydras anyway. It's possible that would have been the case. GG. GG, well played. With that, Reynor takes the lead, and now we're going to be loading into game numero 2. Going to be loading into a much larger map this time, Winter Madness. Ooh, let's go. Larger map of the map pool, longer rush distance by grounds. So I would typically say that if Classic were to want to go into like a Skytoss rush, this would be a better map for it. But I don't like the idea of going mass Void Ray and going into mass Skytoss 2 games in a row. That's the issue that I have. Not too fond of that idea. Just because Reynor, his opponent's already in that mindset. Like, heavy Stargate play is already in the forefront of his mind, but it might just be possible that heavy Stargate play is the current meta in the PTR. I did mention that we've been seeing quite a bit of it in the PTR, and there's reasoning for that because of how, just because of how difficult it is to get into heavy gateway play. But here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Winter Madness, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss. The blue Protoss player himself down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back. For Virtus Pro, it is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the Italian Zerg player. We have the red Zerg representing Basilisk. Leading the series 1-0, it is Reynor. Let's go. Let's go. I also do apologize if I did not have the correct colors on last game in regards to the frames over the webcams. I just noticed it, so I do apologize. If the webcam frames are the wrong color, I'll try to stay on top of it. I'll do my best. Here we go. Welcome one and all. Again, Winter Madness, as we mentioned before, is a larger map of the map pool, longer rush distance by ground, a much more defendable natural, more defendable third base, more defendable fourth base as well. Defensive rotations in between these expansions is much easier. Likewise, we have choke points moving into them as well, so as a result, you do have a greater defensive advantage, and we often do see longer games. In saying that, herO did struggle against a 4-base all-in on this map. If you recall, Lambo, he lost a bunch of workers, he committed on Lair Tech and went pure Ling main Hydra, and herO had a hard time defending. But if you remember, herO also had 0-site defense at his 4th base, and he was cornered at his 4th as well, whereas we could have seen a stronger defense at his 3rd. So there are other factors that did kind of influence that game. But just because the map is large, it doesn't mean you can't be aggressive on the map, for sure. Oh, hello. Jesus. Typer agreed. Going hatch before pool. Okay, Reynor being very greedy here, going for a delayed pool. Delayed gas guys are in favor of hyper greed, and we'll see if we can get away with it. Now, typically, when you cut corners like this, because your gas income is going to be so delayed, it is not uncommon to see Zerg players skip Ling speed and actually spend their gas elsewhere and maybe even be a little bit greedier. We'll keep an eye on Reynor. We'll see if he goes for Ling speed or if he goes for something else more sinister here. But regardless, very greedy play out of Reynor, for sure. For sure. Bearing in mind as well that I believe this should be eating into the queen production, as the pool is going to be done, but I believe the second queen should be delayed. Yeah. So there we go. We only have 1 queen being produced instead of 2. So technically, in the early game, we have a lower queen count to defend, and that might be impactful. But we can see that Classic is just playing standard. Just gate expanded to Cyber Core. Zealot first as well, just to be even safer. Oh, 0 Probe Scout out of Classic, actually. True. So if you remember, there was that one game where herO didn't Probe Scout as well. It was game 2 against Lambo, if you recall. And I should also emphasize that Probe Scouting is a little bit more difficult to actually difficult. It does impact your economy even more so than previously because you start with so few workers. So there is rationale and a reason why there is no Probe Scout in that one game from herO, and even here from Classic as well, where he wants to cut some corners, he wants to be a little bit greedier here. The downside though is that Classic fails to see how greedy Reynor is, how many corners are being cut, and the potential punishment of Reynor as well. Classic's just playing blind, and Reynor gets away with it unscouted. Unscouted. Meanwhile, Link speed is on the way and Reynor stays in gas. Ooh, that is interesting. Okay. Let's go. Behind this, it is going to be a Stargate open out to Classic, going Stargate to Oracle. So Classic will claim his 3rd. And this time Classic will be allowed to expand. If you recall, last game he was forced to cancel. But Reynor, he's just really droning. Really droning, saturating, making a handful of safety Zerglings before building up. And now we see what the early gas is for, or the continued gas mining for that lair. So just like last game, early lair at Arena. Ooh, meanwhile the Oracle does find some damage. 1, 2, 3, 4 drone kills. Can we get 5? Ooh, not quite. But no Spore. No Spore. 5 drones go down. 6 drone kills. We're getting out of hand here. And Reynor is punished for his greed. Yeah, punished for skipping out on his spores. 6 drone kills. Very nice damage here by Classic. Very necessary damage considering how greedy Reynor has been this game. Oh, has to be careful there. Classic does push further in, and Classic, he will not see the tech of choice. He does see the lack of Evo Chamber or Baliness or Roach Warren here at the natural at least, but it could be in the main. We can see that we're rushing into the lair, and this could be for another fast Hydrogen. Reynor going for a delayed Evo Chamber. Lair is now done. Show us your tech of choice. As gases are being taken, and there it is. Yep, it's going to be the fast Hydrogen once again. So as we're seeing here, the kind of opener is very similar to last game. Obviously, greedier play by Reynor was somewhat punished, thankfully, by the Oracle. So there is some counter play here. There's a bit of a back and forth. But because of the early lair, because of the early Hydrogen, we're going to get early upgrades, and the Hydra is going to be coming online much faster here. We might just commit on 4 bases. I can see a world where Reynor drones up to, say, 76, like 76, 73 workers. It cuts worker production, builds up purely Ling Hydra, and then we see something very similar to what we saw from Lambo as well, just committing on a lair tech army, maxing out, and then just breaking the 4th base of Classic. Meanwhile, Classic is going to be taking up, going for Templar Archives, heading into Storm. Okay, so much more standard direction here, taking a bit of Storm. The Oracles will deflect the Lings. Hydras are amassing, and the first big clue here, the first big tell is going to be Reynor. When does he cut workers, and does he get an Infestation Pit? Second Evo Chamber. Okay, this is a sign of a longer game. Second chamber, second upgrades. Reynor's droning up even harder, catching out some gateway units. Very nice catch. Yeah, Stalker's Adept's getting called out. Blink was merely seconds away from finishing. But that second Evo Chamber and the extra wave of drones here is indicative of something greater. We have 82 drones, plus 1 melees now on the way. Things are deflected. Classic gaining some ground, forcing an army. It's forcing a response. 10 Hydras on the way. And Classic, he will deny the base. No creep. Yeah, limited creep spread. It's going to be a cancel. Nice pick off out of Classic. Finding some damage. Even supply blocking Reynor. Ooh, big supply block. Forcing out 5 Overlords. Very nice. But as he's being active, he's forced back home. He's forced back home. A better Ling run by here by Reynor. Canceling the 4th base and forcing everything to turn back around. It all turns around. Ay, ay, ay. With that Reynor, he's amassing. And on the one hand, yes, Reynor, he is getting better upgrades here, working on +2. But I still don't see any further tech. I still don't see an Infestation Bits. I don't see a Baliness either. It's just still pure Ling Hydra. And Reynor's about to max. He's about to max out, and soon he can push out. And I'll be honest, it's going to be very difficult here for Classic to maintain that 4th base. It's going to be a tough hold. But no, Reynor throws down the pit. Throws down the pit, ready for Hive. Half the army gets caught out. Oh, who catches who though? Storm is not ready. Yeah, Storm is not yet ready. Reynor shaving off some zealots at the same time. Reynor comes in for the counterattack, coming from behind. Catching out one of the Oracles, and the base is going to be cancelled for a second time. Ay, ay, ay. And Classy just cannot expand. Storm now comes in, but he's just being torn apart. He cannot keep up. Not like this. 11 probes going down. Hydras, they move in once again, catching up more gateway units, more stalkers, more zealots. Nice storming on the Hydras though. Oh my god. A very value storm as we go back into the storm as well. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Reynor, he's already reached peak economy. 82 drones. Reynor still out of control. He does bust on in. 19 probe kills, still not yet done. Links into the main. And again, Classy just cannot keep up. Now, what's important about this game compared to what we expect in the live game, the build and the direction of the players was what we expect, of course, but something that was very different here, which I guess we'll get into after this as we surround the Stalker. Stalker's going to be shut down, and from here we just snowball out control. We snowball out control, break through the Mortal, break through the Stalkers, the Oracle goes down, and with that there is nothing left. We have 1 Archon, 0 Archons. Warpin will finish. But this is all that Classic has left. So comparing this to the live version of the game is because GG gets called. Reynor, he will take a 2-0 lead in the series. GG. Comparing this to the live version of the game here, in the live version, typically, and again, because gateway play is more accessible, we typically expect more aggression from the Protoss player in the mid game with their initial Blink Stalkers. We saw Classic be a little bit active, and he did deny the expansion. That is true. Classic, he denied the 5th expansion, if you recall. He did force a cancel, but usually we expect like earlier and heavier aggression there, and we have more of a back and forth in the mid game. Likewise, ideally, you'd have extra resources to be able to defensively work back at home, to be able to defend your 4th expansion, have that kind of counterplay. Here, because of the barrier to entry, because of the excess resources you're spending, like that does kind of weaken the gateway strength and the gateway aggression, and it also makes it more difficult to be more to reactively warp in, just because again, like you're spending resources on that production. That does have like a cascading effect here as well. I'm not necessarily saying that that's kind of what this led into, but it did allow, or it did mean that Classic just had less of a presence in this game, less of a presence in the mid game, harder time keeping up with the aggression, with the counterattacks, with run bys, and in the end, GG well played. Reynor, he was able to shut down the aggression, force the get the counterattack going, force the army back home, maintain map control, and again reach that peak economy. GG well played. And now we're getting into game number 3. Reynor, he's leading the series 2-0, and we'll see how Classic will approach game 3 as we load into Tourmaline. Tourmaline, a much smaller map of the map pool, very short rushes by ground. Aggression is heavily favored here, and we're expecting something different out of Classic. From both players, actually. We're expecting something more aggressive. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. As again, so far, as we've seen in the previous iteration of the PTR, Protoss players have been struggling, for sure. It doesn't help that we have the economy changes and the warp gate changes and other changes on top of that as well, like the shield battery change, the warp-in mechanic change. Bearing in mind as well that this is still, what, day 2 of the new version of the PTR, and because the warp gate mechanic is now, it's been lessened, now it's cheaper to morph in warp gates than previously. There's still potential here for players to explore a little bit more and maybe find a way to be more active and aggressive and still have that presence that we're missing here. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. If you're familiar with my thoughts on said PC, oh no, Classic, he's smudging a little bit. He's smudging in the chat. Smudge. But if you're curious about our thoughts, we've been vocal about them during our talk shows in regards to the PTR. But I was fully on board when this was initially revealed with the idea of the warp gate cost just being removed completely. Just removing that warp gate cost, but still having the increased production on regular gateways after warp gate is researched, so you have the choice between the two, but you're not like forcing, or you're not like just like cutting out completely the ability to be too active. Just get rid of the at least for me, like personally, I'm for the opinion of just removing the cost of transforming warp gates, but you keep the boost on regular gateways so you can kind of pick and choose which one to delve into, and you don't have that punish for players for the ability to warp in and morph in those warp gates. But we'll see. I mean, they're heading in that direction with the change, with the resource nerf. That is true. But let's go. Let's go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Tourmaline, we have the Italian Zerg player. We have the red Zerg leading the series 2-0. 2-0 representing Basilisk. It is Reynor. Hold on. There you go. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player. We have the South Korean Protoss representing Virtus Pro. It is Classic. Here we go. So we are getting into game number 3, potentially the final game of the series. I'm hoping for a back and forth. I want to see some more dynamic play here and a dynamic series, but the pressure is on Classic. And once again, welcome to Tourmaline. Tourmaline is a very small map with a map pool, short rush distance by ground. Aggression is heavily favored here. Unlike on other maps, the attack path from natural to natural is just one straight line. There's no high ground, no low ground, no points of elevation. The one thing that can keep you at bay is this tall grass. There's tall grass in the center, so you can get like the first volley off if you have map control. You can also scout as well, but outside of that, it's just very direct. And on top of that, it's a very open area outside of the natural. Very open here outside of the natural. Very open and accessible here at the third base location as well, and a relatively open center of the map. So typically, we have seen Protoss players and Terran players try to be more aggressive here to try to end the game a little bit earlier to avoid a situation where the Zerg player has map control and has momentum and has control of Tourmaline. But we'll see. We shall see. As the pressure is very much so on Classic. Very much so. I think I had colors wrong last game. I think, maybe. I don't know. I was so engrossed, Bappy. I was so engrossed. My apologies. The color frames on the players are being changed manually, by the way, so I just have to remember to do that. So I don't apologize. It should be correct for this game, though. Now we're calming down. We do have our initial openers here. So far, Reynor does go hatch gas pool. He pulls out a gas. There's no crazy, like, fast third expansion this time before spawning pool. There's no hypergreed that we saw in Winter Madness. Likewise, Classic looking to break out and expand. And, ooh, opening up with an early sentry. Okay, we're being a little bit more experimental here. Classic, you have my attention. Have my attention. Setting up the pylon on the right-hand side. Warp gate is on the way. Remember, so something that we have yet to experience this entire broadcast actually is the faster warp-ins. So in the past, many years ago, it was possible to warp in with fast warp-ins across the map with just pylons. Of course, that was eventually changed in more recent years to require gateways, and we're still getting gateways here. They are necessary for fast warp-ins, but what this is doing is hiding the production at least. So if the Overlord goes in, there's going to be limited vision and limited scouting as to what's going on. Classic does go for his expand, but really, how many gateways do we have? We have 2 gateways here at the natural, we have 2 gateways across the map. It's going to be 4 gate play out of Classic. Oh, did I say 4? We're getting into 5, 6. Let's go. It's going to be a 2 base all in, 6k 2 base all in, fake third expansion out of Classic. He's not making probes. He's not going to saturate. Lings, they will get us around. They get on top of the sentry. They try to. Nice force field. Nice force field so far. Classic is holding, is defending, is keeping his arm. He's maintaining his army, and all these sentries is a massive tell. So Reynor, he might not see all of this that's going on, but he does see the sentries, which is abnormal. And this screams Soul Train, right? This screams like a crazy gateway heavy all in. Not quite a Soul Train, as there's no robo with this. There's no immortal production. And did I say 6 gate all in? I believe we're getting up to 8. Jesus, oh my god. 3 gates back at home. 5 across the map. So it's going to be a 2 base 8 gate all in. But bearing in mind, there's no upgrade with this. There's no charge, there's no blink. It's going to be purely sentries and slow lots. Oh, no, he's going to scout. No, no! Ducklings! Oh my god, it was so close. They barely don't scout the proxy. Alright, we got spotted. Reynor to get a safety Roach Warren. Roach is already amassing. Reynor, he will need Ravagers. He does spot the proxy, he knows. Yeah, now he's aware. He was already playing it safe, cutting works at 51. Ravagers forced to be cancelled. Ooh, Roaches get locked down. Yeah, nice catch on the Roaches, but at the same time, these are slow lots. Who really catches who as so many sentries get locked down and it's all falling apart? Again, a very experimental build here by Classic, just kind of throwing whatever he could at the wall here, but in the end we'll lose all the sentries, has to spend all of his force fields, and without even Ravagers, Reynor, he defends. He defends, he holds on, and with that, Reynor, he snowballs out of control, he shuts down the all-in. Again, 2-base 8-gate all-in with a fake third, but purely vanilla gateway units, no charge, no blink. Get very experimental, and this can work if Reynor was droning and not getting a Roach Warren. But he played it safe. Why did he play it safe? He saw the sentries, right? He saw the sentries early on, which is very abnormal. That prompted Reynor to get a Roach Warren and to be ready. GG gets called, and with that, Reynor, he will claim the series. Ah, look at him go. He's so happy. He will claim the series 3-0. GG. GG, well played. There it is. Congratulations here to Reynor for claiming the series. Again, at this point, I mentioned earlier that in the lead up to this game, Classic, he was smudging a little bit. Like he was not feeling good about the series, not feeling good about the state of play, of course, and he was lamenting a little bit, and you could see that in his play here, where he just like went for just a wild, crazy all in. It just kind of fell apart, and I think Reynor, like, he's aware of that as always. Yeah, just at this point, like, Classic, he was a little bit checked out. GG, well played. With that, congratulations, Reynor. He will claim the series and he will advance on into the next round. And let's catch up on that bracket. Let's go. Exclamation mark. Oh, there's no commands in the chat, unfortunately, but here we go. Let's just have a look ourselves together. We are halfway through the broadcast. Lambo took down herO 3-0. Reynor takes down that Classic 3-0 as well. And now we have two matchups left. We have Maru versus Showtime and Clem versus Solar. We're done with the ZVPs, and now we're going to be embracing a ZVT and TVP. We're going to be going on a short break. When we come back, we will have one of said matchups. I'm not entirely certain as to which one is up next. Videos will soon be underway. Looks like it's going to be the Maru series. Okay, so Maru versus Showtime will be up next. Protoss versus Terran. We'll see you soon after the break. Hoping for more of a back and forth. Again, ZVP, I'll be frank, ZVP is a matchup that has been having some issues when it comes to the PTR. What's important, though, is that, again, we're testing said matchups, we're testing said games. We just had an update yesterday when it comes to the PTR, and I mean, this is what testing is for, right? To see like what's currently happening with the meta that's unfolding in the PTR, what is working, what is not working, and ideally trying to find solutions or trying to propose or even have feedback and maybe even propose changes and maybe have that influence the next iteration of the PTR as well. So again, it's tournaments like this that allow us to actually embrace that. They'll allow us to explore the PTR and see kind of what's currently happening and what we like, what we don't like, and what we can potentially change moving forward coming into the live version of the game. I think what's important here is to ideally be a little bit more hopeful that, of course, you know, that these games are being taken into consideration and they're all being watched, and ideally we have more iteration upon said PTR. We've had update 2. Do we get an update 3 later on down the line? We'll see. For now, though, we'll soon jump into Maru vs. Showtime. We'll see you soon after the break. See you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to the GSL CK, the 2026 GSL CK number 4 day 1 quarterfinals match. We just wrapped up with the first half of the broadcast with both Classic and herO up against Lambo and Reynor. Now we're here with the second half of the broadcast. We're done with the ZVPs. Now we can jump into our TVPs, Maru versus Showtime. Let's go. Let us go. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Tourmaline, we have the German Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing himself. It is Showtime. Hold on. Bam. Beautiful. Is he playing with his eyes closed? The hell? Oh my god. As it looks like we have a bit of a pause here. Hopefully everything is okay. But more than happy to wait for our players to come back to us. Again, you know, hopefully nothing crazy, hopefully nothing too wild. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're good. We are good to go. Yo, shout out to the tuna. That's Ryung.
Game resumed.
The tuna Terran. Yeah, the Ryung drop. Happy the Ryung drop. That's spawning in the right hand corner. We have the blue Terran player, the South Korean Terran representing on side. It is Maru. Bam. Let's go. Let us go as we are jumping into our fresh series, our fresh best of 5. Again, hopefully everything is okay. Of course, we are playing on the PTR, and as a result, servers are a little bit limited when it comes to what we can pick, and hopefully everything stays stable. So far, so good. As we jump into our fresh matchup. We're taking a break from the non-sub ZVPs of the Sky Toss. We're taking a break from all of that. For now, though, welcome one and all to Tourmaline. Tourmaline, as I mentioned previously, is a smaller map of the map pool, shorter resistance by ground. Aggression is heavily favored, and we are expecting aggression typically from Terran players in this matchup, especially from Maru. Maru, he's a hyper-aggressive player. We expect 2 base all-ins, pool the boys, more often than not in this matchup. It is something that I believe hasn't really been addressed in the PTR, which is a bit of a shame. But when it comes to the live version of the game, it is very common and very often that we do see Terran players try to end the game early and avoid the mid to late game, or if they get into that kind of game state, they want to get there in a better position by dealing critical damage early on, breaking an economy, breaking a base. Momentum is very, very important here in TVP, and again, Terran players are often fighting for that. Otherwise, Protoss players can snowball out of control, but that is usually in other kind of maps. Think of Winter Madness, think of even Taito Citadel. On a map like Tourmaline, I would say it's quite difficult for the Protoss player to really gain momentum, gain map control, and slow the game down and have that kind of a snowball effect. It's much more difficult just because aggression is more favored here. So we'll see. We typically do favor Terran players on maps like Tourmaline. Typically. Bearing in mind, of course, this is a best of 5, so a longer series ahead of us. And we'll see how things have changed in said PTR, more importantly. True. Now, of course, we are going to be opening up. Likewise, I haven't been seeing too much of Showtime as of late. I know he's been a little bit more active in recent months, especially, you know, considering the Thermal 2-2 circuit, for example, 2-2 play. But Showtime, unlike some of the other Protoss players out there, is a little bit less active when it comes to online open cups, as he doesn't compete, say, like in the open weeklies as often as someone like MaxPax, Classic, or herO. So I do appreciate being able to embrace someone like Showtime in this tournament when we can. Get to see more games, see more matches. For now, it is going to be the early Tech Lab into Marauder, so Marauder-based opener out of Maru. Bearing in mind, Maru did go for an economic start, single gas racks expand, and the hope here is that Showtime tries to punish the greedier build that Maru has, and then Maru tries to punish Showtime by opening up with Marauders to catch out the first gateway units. That is the hope, at least. Behind this is going to be Marauder opener into a 3-rack stim timing. So second and third racks, mass marine, mass stim, combat shields. It's going to be very strong timing on the way here for Maru, and we'll see if Showtime can recognize what's going on. Scouting is going to be paramount for Showtime. It's going to be all about that scouting, all about that reaction. And more importantly, the time to react. Does spot the Marauders, is now aware. And the Adepts will commit to the shade, bearing in mind that it is not uncommon to open up Marauder and then behind this go, say, 3cc 3 racks or go into a 1-1-1. Just because it is going to be a Marauder opener does not mean it has to be a 3 racks. So Showtime is yet to confirm. But now Marauders, they commit. Showtime is racing back to defend. And we will end up catching that Adept. Oh, barely not. It really does. One more volley. Adept goes down. Nice pickup. Very nice pickup here by Maru. Does catch the first Adept. Now going for the second. Ooh, second Adept goes down before getting within range of the battery here. Ay. Some rough losses for Showtime. Bearing in mind that those Adepts, that typically will provide scouting information to get across the map to shade past the army as well. And Showtime is still playing blind. He's still blind. How many gateways do we have? 2. So 2 gate blink into a third. Very greedy build here by Showtime. Going for a faster third base, staying on a lower gateway count. Likewise, did at least go for the robot before expanding, so it's a little bit safer in that respect, but still won't have much to work with. Is still hyperfixating on his third, whereas Maru's building up. And Maru, he's massing up. Stim is almost done. Combat shields just now began. And soon Maru, he will pull the trigger. And he's gonna catch over Stalker. Blink is not done. No, Blink isn't done. Massive pickup. He gets 1, he gets 2. Yeah, 1, 2 Stalkers going down. Blink not finishing up, but a little too late. Yeah, too late. As we stem in, we have the Archer's pylon. Does go for the battery instead. Battery will fall. Boys are being pulled. Desperation here by Showtime. We'll lose another Stalker down to 2. Yeah, 2 Stalkers left. And Maru, he's so close to breaking Showtime. He's close. He's still rallying. Yeah, still rallying across. Nice snipe out of Showtime, but ooh, does blink away. Yeah, blinks away in time, and down to 3 Stalkers. Does catch another Marauder. And Showtime, he may be able to hold on here. Looks like he will clean this up. Whew. Yeah, he will clean this up at a cost. Does cost him 7 probes. But Showtime, he will survive. And Showtime gets away with the third. That's what's important here. Remember, Showtime went for a greedier build. He had a lower gateway count. He had less warpins, less Stalkers. Oh, does get caught. Yeah, he face checks. Does face check, and with that 2 Stalkers go down. Heavy losses for Showtime. Ay. He face checked the tall grass. No. Maru still overextends. We're gonna calm down. Calm down, Maru. Calm down. Does overextend. A little bit too ambitious, diving on the Immortal. And we're getting a little bit messy here. A little bit messy. Maru has traded well, don't get me wrong, did kill a lot of workers, but remember, because of the faster third Nexus out of Showtime, he can recover economically. He's recovering. Likewise, Showtime, he's looking to stabilize, still not quite there yet. The Bay is on the way for the Colossus, but still in production. And Maru, he's not done. He's still sharking around for damage. He's still looking back. So of course, let's spot this. The battery is still not yet done. Does him in, does go for the dive, and he will get the Immortal. Massive pickup. The Immortal goes down. We do need extra Stalkers. Battery's now done, but the Stalkers are so low. Yeah, they're so low. 1, 2, 3 Stalkers go down. And with that, Showtime barely doesn't have enough. It was close. It was so close, but barely not enough to defend. I still bleed out a couple of workers. Ooh, rough move command. Yeah, rough move command towards the end. And the biggest issue here is that Showtime, technically he survives. That's true, but it costs him the army every time. Every single time. Like Showtime, his army is not really disposable, not the same way that a Terran army is. Every defense is costing him Stalkers, costing him Immortals, costing him gas-intensive units. And Maru, he's not stopping. He just keeps rallying across the map, and over time, he's whittling away at the defenses of Showtime. The defenses are getting weaker and weaker over time. Does have the Colossus, but again, we're lacking the Immortal from earlier. We're lacking the Stalker count as well. We're lacking the Sentry. It's still a very bare bones army. It's still very fragile, very vulnerable. And Maru, he just doesn't stop. Colossus will zone away. Maru claiming his third. Claiming his third expansion. Rallying on the right hand side. Setting out a second army, as this time he has some sustain. This time he has medevacs. He can sustain himself. And he's so Marauder heavy. Showtime is getting torn apart here. Gets distracted on the right. Army moves in from behind. We're diving on the Colossus. He dives in and he gets it. Yeah, massive pickup. Colossus goes down. Down to 1. Down to 1 Colossus. And again, Maru, he knows he's so close to breaking the defensive line here of Showtime. He's close. Un poquito más. Stims in, dives in, and he will focus on the final Colossus. Ooh, barely goes down. Did cost Maru a lot of Marauders in the process. Zealots, they do pop off. Aye. So a bit of a messier fight, but again, momentum is heavily in favor of Maru. We spoke about this earlier in the game, at the beginning. Maru, he gained that momentum. He's holding on to it the entire game from the beginning, from catching up those first couple of Stalkers. And we just keep rallying, Pappy. And Showtime cannot defend. Not like this. Oof. As again, earlier on, it did feel like it was a very close hold. Like it felt like it was on a knife's edge. But again, barely not in favor of Showtime. And with that, it just snowballs out of control. Every Zealot goes down. The Colossus. Ooh, down to one Stalker. Battery's out of energy. And with that, Maru, he does overwhelm. Takes down the final Stalker. GG gets called. And Maru, he will take game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Ah, look at that. He's so elated, Pappy. So elated. But Maru, he does take a lead in the series as we get into game number 2. Winning it back here. Again, it was a very shaky early game from Showtime. I was very impressed that he survived the initial wave, by the way. I'm referring to the initial 3x stim timing. Just considering that Showtime was working with very incomplete information. And remember, Showtime was being greedy. Showtime, he went 2-gate blink into a third base, so he was going for a greedier build on Tourmaline as well. I should emphasize the fact that this map does favor aggression even more so than others, so reinforcements, they arrive across the map faster than any other map in the map pool except for 10,000 feet. That's the other one. Like 10,000 feet does have a shorter rush distance, but outside of that, Tourmaline, you don't get shorter than that. So again, aggression is even more favored. Reinforcements arrive faster. The pressure is that much harder. So for Showtime to survive was impressive, but he was, again, treading water more than anything. He was treading water. He wasn't really able to stabilize. Not after the first couple of losses. And with that, GG. With that, GG well played. With that, Maru does claim a lead in the series as we lead into game number 2. Let's go. Gonna be loading into Winter Madness. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the red Terran player. The red Terran player himself, we have the South Korean Terran representing Onside. A lead in the series 1-0. It is Maru. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player. We have the German Protoss. Oh. Down in the series, we'll see who can bounce back. It is Showtime. So, let us go. As looks like we have lost the feed to Showtime's camera. If you recall, we made a little bit of a joke about it, but I believe Showtime's camera was freezing periodically. That's why we made the joke that he was playing with his eyes closed. So I did notice that, so it might be causing some issues as Showtime does open up with a cheese with a proxy. Let's go. As he does set up his gateway here out on the map. Welcome to Winter Madness. Winter Madness is a larger map of the map pool, longer rush distance by ground, and we typically do expect to see longer later games here, and I would typically favor Protoss coming into a map like this, getting into the mid game, getting into the late game, but no, instead Showtime, he does subvert those expectations and is going for his own proxy instead on the macro map. A bold move. Bold move here. As he has run down his gateway. Currently, Maru, he should be going for an economic opener, ranks expand, just like last game. And we'll see if Showtime can punish. Let's go. Good old 2 FPS Showtime camera. Yeah, as we mentioned, like Showtime, his camera was freezing periodically, so it might have even been causing some connectivity issues. So we lost the feed. And let's go. Proxy cybercores. Okay. As we're calling out those zealots, cybercores on the way to be able to reinforce, to commit. Bearing in mind that Maru, he is not SCV scouted, it is not uncommon, especially on larger maps, for Terran players to just avoid the SCV scouts. So Maru has no idea. Not yet. And Showtime confirms the economic opener. Does confirm. Showtime does move in. With this, he'll ideally want to delay and force a cancel. Yep, there it is. That does force a cancellation. Can he break into the main, though? Can he break down that front door? Instant bunker here by Maru. SAV should be focused down. A bunker should be denied, at least for now. And more boys are being pulled. More boys are being pulled. And can we finish that bunker? So far, mass repairing. They hear that wall up. Reaper, ooh, does go down. Massive pickup. Takes down the Reaper, and it cannot focus on the Marines. Meanwhile, that bunker's halfway done. Uh-oh. Yeah, bunker's halfway done, and it will finish. Yeah, the bunker will complete. With that bunker finishing, oh, we do still have one Marine, though. Down to one Marine. Not much DPS. Down to one. Nice focus firing out of Showtime, but the bunker is now complete. So 2 Marines do fill it up, and with that, Maru holds. Or he does hold. He was forced to cancel, and he has to rebuild here in his main, but this was a very committed build here by Showtime, proxying his cyber core as well. Showtime does want to expand, but again, we'll lose a lot of tech when Maru breaks out. Oh, that's interesting, as Maru is going for a second Rax, not a factory. Okay. In my mind, I would have assumed factory into Cyclone, as we're even going for the early eBay as well. Have my attention. Which is 3 Raxing, okay. Okay, why not? But que no los dos. We're going for an early stim timing here at Maru, 2 games in a row. In a different way, of course. As Maru is going to be delayed, but with that early, eBay, early +1. Very early upgrade here. This should be lined up with stim, with the eventual move out on 2 bases. So Maru thinking much further ahead here. There are those tech labs, as I mentioned. Again, stim is on the horizon. And we'll see if Maru can break out. Catching with the chat. It was not so close. I mean, I would say that it was close, as just to re-emphasize the previous game. I was talking about how Showtime was barely holding on. Not trying to say that he was almost winning, but he was hanging in there. Treading water is the phrase that we used. Was treading water. Surviving, papi, surviving. As Maru was barely not killing Showtime, but Showtime was dying, if that's what you mean. But now though, Double Reaper gets across the map, does confirm that there is a base, there is an expansion, there is a follow-up, attempted follow-up at a Showtime, but it's still on Maru to break out, and he is building up those Marauders. Now, the issue here is that if we had gone for the early factory into early Cyclone, it would have been an earlier breakout, right? Cyclone can bully these gateway units a lot easier here, but this does have like a bigger and faster power spike in terms of upgrades. True. So there's a bit of a trade-off here. Like an earlier factory could have allowed for an earlier expansion being taken, but the early tech here and the early upgrades and the setup here for Marauder production does allow for a very strong stim timing. So Maru's just thinking further ahead. Now, Showtime at least is aware. He just saw the heavy Marauder count, so Showtime, he knows what's coming his way. Despite that, oof, getting caught out. Reapers are coming from behind. We do get one of the Stalkers. Does get one. Now one Stalker goes down, gets a second Stalker, takes over the high ground, and will depower the gateway. Have we rebuilt the Cyber Core? Ooh, not yet. Just now on the way. Yeah, Cyber Core is just now beginning here. Will slow down Showtime. How many gateways do we have? There's going to be 1 gateway at the natural, 2 gateways in the main, so a 3-gate setup. Mari's pushing. Ooh, almost getting one of the Marauders. Again, ideally, Showtime wants to bait out a stim and focus on the Marauders ahead of time. And here come the boys! Yeah, the boys have been pulled. Maru going for the 2-base all-in. He's got the boys. He has +1. Stim and combat shields is almost complete as well. Very strong timing here for Maru. And he commits. It's all or nothing. Yeah, does Stim. Gets 1, gets 2 Zealots, no battery, ooh, no defensive setup, GG gets called, and Maru, he will snowball out of control, he will take a 2-0 lead in the series. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Again, a cheeky build initially out of Showtime. He was able to force a cancel. He canceled the CC. He delayed the economy. He forced a reaction out of Maru. He was able to snipe some Marines, of course, as well. But again, it was also that much more committed when it comes to going for the proxy cybercore alongside the gateway. And alas, he could not keep up with the breakout there of Maru. Again, Maru thinking further ahead, going for that much, much earlier stim timing and catching Showtime out. Catching him out. Oh. Let's go. Let us go. But yeah, it was just a really brutal defensive setup there from Showtime. Winding it back again, Showtime didn't have any batteries on the high ground, of course. He had limited warp-ins. Because he lost the cybercore, he couldn't actually warp in any defensive stalkers throughout the later part of that game. He could only warp in zealots, so again, just a weaker setup there. He wasn't really set up to sustain that loss of losing that cybercore. If it was hidden and put off towards the side, then maybe he could get away with having it proxied and still maintaining himself after the fact, but again, got shut down, couldn't reinforce, it all just fell apart. GG well played. Not saying that if we had kept the cybercore alive and had extra warp-ins, that would have meant a defense out of Showtime, but would have been a stronger defense nonetheless, and maybe there would have been a world where he could have held on, pulled the boys, and made a stand. GG well played. With that, we're going to be loading into game 2, going to be loading into White Rabbit. Let's go. Once again, a bit of a larger map in the map pool. There's a lot to get into in regards to this map. Let's go. Let us go. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner. Bottom left-hand corner here of White Rabbits, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the blue Terran leading the series 2-0. Representing on side, it is Maru. God damn it. Hold on. There we go. There we go. Very excited. And spawning in the right-hand corner, we have the German Protoss player. We have the red Protoss down in the series. Can he bounce back and make a series out of this? The pressure is on. It is showtime. Oh, we're locked in, Pappy. But again, having some internet issues. See here. Moving at one frame every 30 seconds ish. Let's go. Let us go as we are settling into game number 3 here. Welcome to White Rabbits. White Rabbits is, again, a bit of a larger map, longer rush distance by ground. But what I will say is that the bases are very spread out. They're very, very spread out here in regards to the natural and the third and the fourth base as well. As a result, getting into a longer game, it can be quite difficult to maintain a higher base count. But I'll be honest, we do not expect a long game. Right, so far we've had some very, very short games here. Game 1 we had Maru commit here with the 3x stim timing on Tourmaline. Game 2 we saw Showtime pop off with the initial proxy gateway and then punished by the 2-base all-in from Maru. Game 3 we're still expecting hyper aggressive play here from especially Maru. Expecting aggression, we're expecting all-ins. And we'll see how Showtime will approach. So far, going for his own gate expand. So gate expand into cybercore, standard openers. Likewise, Maru once again going racks expand as well off of a single gas geyser. Every game so far has been an economic start out of Maru. Has been that economic start. It says to be full isn't an all-in. He knows that he'll get the very least his investment back, crippling damage, if not the game. Oh, well, that's kind of what an all-in is. Like, when you go for an all-in, you do need to do crippling damage. Otherwise, you fall behind because you pull all the boys because you lose your own economy as a result of that. If you've seen those kind of games, especially for Maru as well, the reason why you want to keep making workers is because, hey, you can get ready for a second boy pull and a second wave. We've seen that many a time from players like Maru, from some of the other top Terrans as well, where they just keep sending it, and just over time just hammer down the Protoss, assuming that the first time they're able to do some at least equalizing damage. But once again, we're seeing another Rex into a third Rex into a 3-Rex. So 3-Rex stim here from Maru. We've gone here every single game. 3-Rex stim. Hallucination does confirm. This time, unlike some of the previous games, Showtime is aware of the build of choice much earlier than in Game 1 and Game 2. Once again, we have the early eBay, early +1, lined up with stim and combat shields. But again, compared to all the other games, Showtime, he has a much more leeway here. He has much more of a heads up. As from here, we're going for the Robo on 2 bases. We'll see if we go into a higher gateway count as well before we expand. It's what we're expecting out of Showtime. As once again, we're rechecking. Showtime trying to confirm what's going on after the initial scouts. And we can see that Maru's taking up. Unlike the previous games, we have a factory and leading into a starport and medevac play as well. It would make sense here for Maru to maybe go for a later timing just because he knows that he has been scouted much earlier this game. So may just wait for his medevacs instead. Ooh, meanwhile, Showtime staying on 2 bases and taking up into a Robo. So again, you can see a very strong reaction out of Showtime. No third expansion yet. Staying on 2 bases, building up into Colossus. Which should be ideal against a bio-heavy composition, if we can get there. So Colossus production on the horizon. Third TC on the way for Maru. Is expanding. So again, this is the least committed variation of 3-Max that we've seen so far in this series. And I would imagine a big reason for this is because of the hallucination scout earlier. Maru's like, oh, okay, you saw me, so time to tech up. I know that you're going to be ready for me. So let's adapt. Let's transition. So from here we're building up. This is where the longer that Showtime is stuck on 2 bases, the worse it's going to be, as we have extra gateways on the way as well. Showtime is not aware of the third CC, setting up a proxy pylon across the map, and the question becomes, does Showtime even expand? That's another gateway. That's 2 more gateways being thrown down, no third in sight. He may just commit himself on 2 bases. So eyes are on Showtime to see when and if he does expand. Maru's being somewhat active. Does check with the Marine, does spot the army. As aware of the stalker positioning, the Observer does spot the main army of Maru. Showtime is aware. Setting up proxy pylons to harass. But I still don't see a third. And likewise, remember, Showtime is still unaware of the third CC of Maru. And we throw down another gate. Yeah, we... How many is that? Getting up to 6. Getting up to 6 gateways. Maru moving out with his mine drop. This will ideally do some damage and more importantly just scouts. Confirms the Bay. Confirms the Colossus. Won't find too much damage here. Catching a Stalker. Yeah, Stalker, a probe. Pulls away. Checks on left hand side. Confirms no expansion, no third. Now Maru knows. He sees everything. Confirms the 2 base play. Confirms no third. And Maru just has to defend. Just back off, survive. More mind drop play out of Maru. And Showtime is waiting for his third Colossus. Getting up to 3. Colossus gets spotted. Mind drop is intercepted, and it is going to go down. Massive pickup. Very nice catch. That's 4 Widow Mines. Yeah, 4 mines going down, and it's all or nothing. I believe there's no Warp Prism with this army, but there are those pylons. We can still reinforce across the map. Remember, you don't need a gateway anymore. You don't need a gateway. You can just reinforce. We have 6 warp gates. Here come the warp ins. No supply. Oh, that's a brutal time to be supply blocked. Pylons not being thrown down. Now is not the time. We need warp ins. Showtime, por favor. 2 base all in. Yeah, 2 base all in. The boys are being pulled. Maru, he can afford to lose them. Just has to survive. So far, Colossus, they do swipe away at the army. So far, so good. 9 SCV kills. 3 damage in the bunker. Tank has arrived. Now we commit. And now he does commit in. Oh, nice target finding on the Stalkers. Zealous, they just melt. But the force fields, they stop the army from engaging. And Maru's choked up. Maru's choked up with the natural. We have more Zealot Warpins. But the Colossi are low. He's got to be careful. Yeah, Tank does barely survive. And nice pull back there by Maru. Yeah, pulls back. Second tank has arrived. Now we have some Vikings. The Vikings are amassing. 2 more on the way. And there isn't really that much anti-air. Okay, there we go. There isn't that much anti-air. Warping in more Stalkers. And again, Mars is taking some heavy losses here. 26 SCV kills. Funnily enough, still has a greater economy. That's crazy. It shows how far ahead he was when it comes to the workers. And Colossi are going to be zoned away. Tanks, they shell away at the army. Immortals are exposed. And Maru, he breaks out. He breaks out, takes out every Immortal. At the Immortal, they go down. Colossus as well. Massive pickups down to 1, down to 0. 0 left. And with that, Maru snowballs out of control, crushes the main army. GG gets called as the all-in fails. And Maru, he will take a 3-0 lead, or he will claim the series 3-0. GG. Whew. The emotion is crazy. GG. GG, well played. As Maru does claim the series against Showtime, he forced himself to base all in. I'm not too certain if that was the initial plan, just because, again, remember, there was no follow-up scouts. Like, Showtime he was not aware that Maru was getting a 3rd CC up and running, was getting ready. Initially, Showtime was just getting ready to receive a 3-rax timing that never arrived. Then he forced himself into an all-in. Meanwhile, Maru, shout to Maru for scouting and confirming. Remember, he was able to confirm the lack of expansions and also with his Widowmine drops and confirm how committed Showtime was. So Maru, he set up back at home. Very patient play as well. Very, very patient. We saw Maru just pull further back, bled out a lot of SCVs, but he could afford to. And he could afford to lose the workers, had plenty of SCVs to work with. It was 26 throughout the course of the defense, and eventually overwhelmed. Built up his Vikings, preserved his tanks. GG. GG, well played. And with that, Maru, he will claim the series, and we have 1 series left here tonight. It's going to be a TVZ between Clem and Solar. Let's catch up. Let us catch up with the brackets. Let's catch up with our upcoming matches. Okay, from the top. So Maru takes down Showtime 3-0. Maru's going to be up against Reynor in the semifinals. They're going to be facing off tomorrow. Bear that in mind. This is a 2-day event. Meanwhile, scrolling down, we have Lambo. Lambo took down herO, and Lambo's waiting for the winner of Solar and Clem. We still have more matches. We have 1 more series ahead of us here, and of course, tomorrow we will be wrapping up the semis and crowning our champion. We'll be there. We'll be there tomorrow. Also, before we cut to a break, a big shout to GSL. And if you want to help support GSL, if you want to help make GSL Season 3 a reality, of course, Patreon is the place to be. Actually, Patreon is the only reason why we have this tournament. GSL CK is funded by the people, for the people as well. Because the Patreon has had as much support as it does, whether it's the Patreon and the Soup platform as well, does mean that we can host these more like invitational, like experimental tournaments on a regular basis. The GSL CK. So this is the fourth edition, the GSL Champions Korea. And again, the GSL CK should be occurring twice a month, just because of the stretch goal that we reached. We reached the stretch goal for twice a month for GSL CK. And again, there's another goal as well for a 3rd season of GSL proper. But we still need to get there. So again, if you want to support the GSL, if you want to support the Korean scene and just StarCraft as a whole, you can do so via that Patreon. I also emphasize StarCraft as a whole because if you remember the GSL, the most recent season, they actually they unrestricted the tournaments. They opened it up for foreigners. Clem was playing. Clem, he was playing in GSL in Season 2 this year. And we had some other foreigner players also competing in the qualifiers as well, like Christianer, like Young Yakov, and I think Geralt as well, and a couple of others. So again, they did decide to open it up that much more, and as a result, we got to experience some Clem action in GSL. True. Good to see it. For now, though, we're going to be coming to a break, and when we come back, we'll have a next series. We'll have Clem versus Solar. We'll see you soon. See you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the final series of the broadcast. Welcome back to the 2026 GSL CK number 4 Day 1 PTR edition. Whew, it's been honestly a pretty fast day of StarCraft, to be honest. Considering it was going to be 4 best of 5s, we're only 3 hours in, and we are jumping into that final best of 5. Let's go. Let's jump into it. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the French Terran player. Oh, un momento. We have the French Terran himself. We have the blue Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Clem. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the red Zerg player. The red Zerg player himself. It is Solar from South Korea. Let's go. Let us go. We are jumping in our first series, and likewise, oh right, of course. Sorry, just setting up the player cams and the players themselves. Oh, bam, we do have our Solar, and we have our Clem. Beautiful. Beautiful. We are jumping into our final series of the broadcast. Bearing in mind, the winner of this series will face off against Lambo in the next round. Lambo is waiting for the player, and also something that I appreciate is that players will have time to prepare. Remember, semifinals is tomorrow, so players will have 24 hours to prepare for their opponents and to get ready for that PTR best of 5. They will have time. For now, though, we're jumping on in. So far, so good. Standard openers here. There's no early pool, no early gas shenanigans here. Welcome to Ruby Rock. Ruby Rock is a smaller map. The map pool aggression is typically more favored here, and we'll see how our players will approach this. I typically do want to favor Terran players on maps like Ruby Rock, just because Terran players, they typically want to be aggressive. They want to be in your face. They want to be knocking down that front door, applying pressure. I will say that this map it has some features going both ways. Because the bases are a little bit more open and accessible, it does mean that there is a lot of counter aggression available here for Solar to try to apply pressure and to potentially knock down some of these bases. On the flip side, because of that shorter rush distance, and especially because of how aggressive Clem is traditionally, that will favor Clem's early move outs, early aggression. We'll see if Solar can survive that and get into the mid game. If he can get into the mid to late game, that's when Solar can start to gain momentum and take that away from Clem. But we'll see. This is typically applicable to the live version of the game. When it comes to the PTR, changes have been made, and we have experienced them quite extensively. If you maybe missed out, I do recommend checking out some of our coverage of some of the PTR weeklies, like the Sparkling Tuna Cup, Big Star Cup, and other open tournaments. What did they feature? They featured a lot of ZVT between Beyond and Solar, and we have seen Solar experience the new Ghost with full effect, and he's been struggling. Well, all the Zerg players have Shin, Solar, all the top Zerg Koreans. We have seen them be dominated when we get to late game by the Mass Ghost. The rationale, the reasoning for this is because the Ghost Snipe is no longer interruptible. On top of that, the Ghost auto attack damage was also increased as well, and we saw Mass Ghost be a real issue for Solar, for Shin, for Rogue. They had a hard time engaging and dealing with that, and we saw late game Broodlord compositions crumble before the might of Beyond, especially in those matchups. Now, as I say that, this is not the regular PTR, this is the PTR 2nd edition, this is the updated version, and the ghost has been addressed as a result. So we do see that the ghost has been addressed. When it comes to the PTR notes themselves, ghost damage has been reduced from 20 to 15. That is for the auto attack damage, so now the regular auto attack damage is now weaker than what it once was, and likewise ghost movement speed has been reduced a little bit as well. I would imagine that's to allow for some kind of counterplay here. But the snipe is still uninterruptible. True. Still uninterruptible. But again, I would imagine that those two changes, so the ghost damage as well as the movement speed, is specifically trying to target their mass ability in ZVT in the late game. But we'll see if we can even get there. See if we even get there. Now applying pressure with our initial Reaper Hellion. Does poke in. And behind this, we do have our 1-1-1. A much more aggressive build here by Clem, going for a delayed 3rd CC, going for a faster starport into faster Cloak Banshee play. Again, much more aggressive, much more assertive. This tells me that Clem, he's looking for more damage. He needs to find more damage. So far, decent shots off on the Queen. The Queen is getting very low. There's no transfuse. Yeah, there is no transfuse. Ling's getting roasted, and that Queen is exposed. He wants it, and he gets it as well. Massive pig off. Queen goes down. Strong start here for Clem. Saves that 3rd Hellion. Yeah, it does say the Hellion does pull away. Behind this, Overlord will poke in. We'll confirm. We'll get eyes on the researching tech lab. So Solar, he is aware of Cloak. Is at least aware. Behind this, Stim is on the way alongside extra Raxes. First Banshee does move out. And back at home, we do have spores now being thrown down. We have 1 spore on the way. Now a 2nd. Spore production has begun. Nice type of the drone. That was supposed to be a 4th base. Clem having fun. Yeah, so far finds damage. Spore is just now finishing at the 3rd. We'll deflect. We'll defend. Free damage to the Queen. True. Free damage. There is no Overseer, there's no Lair. Can we force out some transfuses? As for now, we just threaten the Queens. Oh. Yeah, there's that transfuse. Bearing in mind that back at home, there is still no 3rd CC. No 3rd command center here. We do go into a 3-1-1 setup on 2 bases. Again, hyper aggression at the Clem. Banshees, they once again soften up these Queens. They're getting very low. Oh my god, a clutch transfuse. Banshee pulls away. One of the Queens gets caught. Casito, 1 shot away from going down. Solo, he does defend. Does deflect. Solo's holding on. Overseer's now morph in, and Solo holds. Whew. Solo, he does hold on, does defend. Now, I'm going to be a little bit concerned here for Clem. Clem, he did find some decent damage, but I would imagine he wanted more than that. He wanted more than what he achieved, ideally more Queen kills. Remember, Clem's 3rd CC is very delayed. It is on the way. He's expanding, but a much later 3rd base here from Clem. As a result, he ideally wanted to find more damage. He did trade against the Zerglings, but again, did want more. So the pressure is very much so on Clem. Now moving out. And Clem, can he deny that southern expansion? Can he bring down the 4th? So Clem does rotate over. Remember, the Queens are low. They're lacking energy because they had to spend so many transfuses earlier. Bailing speed is still on the way. Nice time of the Overlord. It does catch the Overlord, zones away the Queens. Does get 1. Oh, almost. Queens are low. Queens are low. Clem dancing with the army. Bailing speed is now done. And now with Bailing speed, Solo, he can defend. He can defend, he can just collapse in. Yeah, shots at the bio, takes down the tank, and Solo holds. It does hold on. As I mentioned previously, again, Clem, he needed to find more damage here. He's lacking that momentum. Things are looking a little bit dire for the Terran. They are looking dire. Solo, he's getting out of hands. Now going for the Hydroden. We get some decent tank shots once again, though the tank is going to go down. Oh wait, the target firing there. Oh my god. Clem, calm down. Very nice focus firing. Catching out most of the banelings. Not diving on the queens. Again, there's no transfuse. Gets 1, 2, 3 queens. Very nice. Oh, and every single baneling. Clem. So better trades towards the end. Behind this, claiming his third base. Building up his economy. Second factory's on the way. Extra gases are on the way as well. Again, this is good damage, but bearing in mind that Clem, he needed this to try to equalize, to even things up. As Soul is already done droning up to 84. The pit is on the way. Hive is on the horizon. That will bring about ultras as well. Again, the goal should be for Ultra Tech, but we'll keep an eye on Solo as he is going for some Hydra support as well. Clem defends. Once again, keeping Solo busy. Solo's in position. And Solo should not lose the space. Should be able to keep up. Oh. And collapsing in, catching another tank. Forcing the pickup. And Solo, he's snowballing out of control. As we mentioned, like, if Solo can get to the mid game with a solid economy, with a stable economy, I don't see Clem surviving here and defending the third. Solo's almost maxed. It's almost maxed out. Behind this, Hive is on the way. Then moving in. And Clem is at least keeping Solar busy because of all this aggression. Even though Clem isn't really doing any damage, he's at least keeping Solar away from his third base. As Clem is building up his Liberators, getting his 4th CC, with my production as well, Clem is just buying time. He's buying time to fortify his position, to build up his army, and it is working. Clem is closing that gap. At the same time, Hive is almost complete for Solar. And I assumed it was going to be for Ultra Tech, but no, we're going for the Lurker Den. Okay. Lurker Den into Lurker upgrades. Oh. A little bit of miss movement here from Clem. Gotta calm down. Pulls away with a Medivacs. Setting up a drop on the south side. Oh. Does have the drop. Decent mine connections. Oof. But once again, force a big up, force to pull away, and he cannot lift up everything, and not enough Medivacs. Abandons the Marines, and some heavy losses here for Clem. Remember, Soul is maxing out at the same time. Nice counter drop. Does catch a queen, and may even snipe the expansion. Okay. And nice snipe. The hat trick goes down. Solar racing back. And once again, this is just giving Clem more time. Solar's max. Clem is still getting there. Clem is dropping into the main. Again, threatening a dive. I do notice some frame drops here and there. It looks like we're getting a bit of a lag spike connecting to the PTR. Hopefully it does even out. If things get a little bit worse, then of course I will leave the game. I did notice a little bit of stuttering there. Oh, nice snipe. Clem. He snipes the southern 4th, the northern 4th base as well. Again, very nice snipes here from Clem. And despite Solar maxing out quite some time ago, he has not been able to make use of his army. As we try to emphasize, he has not been able to push in until now. And he finally gets across the map. Oof. The Winter Mines are in position. Just one shot though. Yeah, just the one. Clem has to evacuate, has to pull away. You can see that when Solar finally moves out across the map, he denies the base. He denies the expansion. Damage is being done. At the same time, Clem pushing out across the map. Trading well. Trading against mainly Zerglings. Ooh, does take mainly shot to the face. Massive connections though. Yeah, some heavy losses there from Clem. Across the map, Clem does hold. But did bleed out a lot of bio. Thankfully did save all of his workers, true. Did save all the SCVs. He was able to pull them away in time. And Solar, can he keep up so far? He's got 3 lurkers. I'm still not entirely sold on Solar taking up into lurker tech specifically. It will help slow the game down if that's the goal. And of course, can always thread them with Nidus Worms. True. But it's quite awkward to make use of lurkers when it comes to engaging into an entrenched position. So far, though, they're set up. And lurker does hold the line. So far, so good. We have our 3 lurkers in position. The Liberator's going to be focused down, catching out both of them. Oh. Solar does take the better trade. At the same time, goes for Ling Run by. We have plenty of reinforcements. Clem, he does hold, he does defend. Massing out more Liberators, Liberator Rangers on the way as well. Clem building up a better army. And Solar still stuck on Ling, Bane, Hydra. Which can hold its own, don't get me wrong. But I am concerned considering we're building up a higher Liberator count, higher Ghost count as well. Oof. Clemmy's building up. Nice mine shots. Yeah, very nice connections as every Zergling goes down. Takes down all the Zerglings, does spot the Nidus Worm. Oof. Look at the snipe. Still just 3 lurkers. He does make it back home. Pulls back home in time. Now, what's scary here, I would say the scariest thing about what's happening here is that for the most part, it's been Solar trying to react to the aggression of Clem. As a result, the 3rd got up and running. The 4th got up and running. The 5th base is getting up and running as well. Solar, I want to say there's been only 1 or 2 times where he's applied any pressure to the economy of Clem. It's becoming an issue here. Solar, he needs to be more active. For example, this northern base is an orbital. That's crazy. That's illegal. It's not even a planetary, papi. Ay, ay, ay. As now Clem is securing this position. Solar hasn't stopped Clem's growth. He has not stopped him. Queens, they do rally into their deaths. They're throwing away 3 queens. Pushing further in. Solar, he will catch one of the ghosts. Yeah, he does catch 1, does catch 2. Expensive losses here for Clem. Bleeding out 2 ghosts. Yeah, bleeds out 2 at the same time. We do see Solar defending back at home. We'll still lose another expansion. Another hatchery goes down. Nice snipes out of Clem. Once again, sniping more bases, slowing down Solar's growth. Drop play continues. And how many Vipers we had? Just 1? I was gonna say, yeah, just 1 Viper. Mass Liberator is gonna be an issue here. Building up to 9. 9 Liberators. Clem not quite in position, so this base is going to go down. Nice pickup. Yeah, catching out 12 SCVs. Again, Clem is spread thin. He's spread thin, papi. Solar's getting ground. Oof. But this is where Clem's ready. Yeah, he's got his Mass Liberator. Clem does hold the line. At the same time, Solar, he does almost catch a ghost. And pulls back to the planetary. Clem defends his northern base. So we're getting a little bit messy here. Yeah, a little bit messy. Clem who loses drop. Once again, just trying to trade, trying to catch reinforcements, catching out 1, 2, 3 Hydras. Okay. Somewhat trading. Clem's just freeing up more supply. Once again, more Liberators. More freedom, pappy. Oh. Yeah, rough rally. Rough rally out of Clem. Clem, he rotates, sorry, Solar, he rotates everything here towards the south side. but pushing into all these freedom zones. I mean, some of them are unsieged. Does try to commit in. Rough Sim City, though. Yeah, Banelings, we get some decent connections, but so many Hydras go down to the Liberators. Ay. Cracklings, they bust in. They kill a Starport. Not bad. Catching out the Starport. I believe the Lurkers are in the Nidus. Yep, they are. Clem has to take this seriously. As Lurkers are popping out. At the same time, Clem is also pushing out. And pushing across the map. Takes out an expansion. Lurkers are being bullied by the Liberators. they don't really achieve much here. Yeah, they have to get the hell out of here. As the Lurkers are shut down, and Clem now can focus on his main push. He can lock in. As again, this base is set up here to push towards that southern expansion. They're right next to each other. Solo did at least deny the top right base, that is true. Did deny the expansion. Ooh, Liberators unsieged. Yeah, did pull away, did unsiege. Massive engage out of Solo, connecting with the army, and he will get a planetary. Planetary goes down, massive pickoff, and takes down all the Liberators as well. They were stacked up. They were stacked up with the power bomb. Very strong fight here for Solar. At the same time, Clem counterattacks, retreating bases. But one of these bases meant more than the other. As Clem is hurting, he's running out of his bank, he's running out of steam. Clem is in trouble. Clem, he needed that expansion. And Clem is all in. He's down to 38 SCVs, 38 workers, no mineral bank. It's all or nothing for Clem. Oof, he kind of pushes these Lurkers. They do finally pay for themselves. Let's go. They defend, Bappy. And initially, Clem was doing a great job when it comes to expanding and maintaining his economy, but not anymore. Not anymore. That is into the main base. Clem forced to move in. Once again, Lurkers are ready. Again, Clem is trading well. Trading as best he can. But there's only so much he can do here. Lings they bust into the mineral line. Medevac getting called out. Going for the CC instead, going for the orbital. The game is getting a little bit messy though. Clem setting up at the natural, sieging up on top of the Nidus Worm. Oof, massive Lurker shots. And Clem just doesn't have enough. He should not have enough here. I mean, Solo's also burning through his bank as well. Like, Solo doesn't have the best economy either. True. But he's still wreaking havoc in the main. Likewise, here come the deductions. Oh, massive lunge. And GG gets called. All the Mavericks get called out. And Solar, he will take game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played. A very tense game there between Solar and Clem. Once again, I will give praise to Clem for being able to recover after a shaky start. When I say shaky start, remember, Clem did go for a very committed early game, going for a very late third CC, very delayed third base, going for the 1-1-1 into 3-1-1 setup initially into hyper aggression. We saw that Clem was struggling to really find much damage with that early game aggression, and as a result we saw Solar establish his bases, build up, max out as well. He was able to build up his economy, but again, Clem did an amazing job when it comes to harassing, counterattacking, distracting Solar, and establishing his own high base count as well. So we saw a very impressive mid-game out of Clem, but towards the end we saw that Solar finally got to gain some map control, move out across the map, and start applying pressure. Once he did, Clem couldn't defend, right? He could not hold on to his 4th base, his 5th base, his natural, his main bases that were going down time and time again. And this goes into what we said at the beginning of the game, talking about how Ruby Rock has more open expansions. And once the Zerg player can get into the mid to late game in a stable position, that's when things get much more difficult for the opposing Terran or Protoss to defend and survive. And we saw that Clem had a very hard time defending. In the end, he was torn apart. GG gets called, and now we're going to be loading into the Old Republic. Let's go. Here we go, and we have some similar sentiments on this map as well. Similar. Oh boy. As spawning in the top right-hand corner of the Old Republic, we have the French Terran player. We have the blue Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Clem. Let's go. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the red Zerg player. We have the South Korean Zerg leading the series 1-0. It is Solar. Let's go. Let us go. Oh, the colors are correct, Happy. True, true. As we do open up with the proxy. I did notice Clem's smirk earlier, and I did notice the lack of building back at home. So we're going to be opening up with the proxy racks across the map. We'll see how committed Clem is going to be. Now, we have seen Clem mess around with proxy Reaper in this matchup. As you can see, the gas is being taken, which is very unorthodox, but we have seen it in recent times from Clem. That is true. So we'll see how dedicated Clem is going to be. Solo does open up hatch first. So standard open under Solo, going hatch gas pool. And I guess we'll discuss the map a little bit later on if we get to embrace the map itself. We'll see if we can get there. But now, yep, rally directly in. Here comes the Proxy Reaper. Again, Proxy Reaper is a very rare side in TVZ, but again, this is not the first time in the past week that we've seen Clem do this in this matchup. Going Proxy Reaper. Sorry, I say Clem do it. I think we saw Maru do this in GSL recently, if I recall correctly. In GSL Season 2. Now that the Reaper does back in, we'll be able to throw in the bases. Bearing in mind there is no pool, there is no queen, there is nothing to defend, just drones, and drones are going to start going down. It's going to be on Solo to minimize losses. Here we go, bunkering between the bases. Solo does notice. And Solo, he has to deny that bunker. Does have to deny. Oh, the SCV! Oh my god, getting low. Yeah, the SCV gets low enough, which means the bunker is denied. Oh, actually, never mind. If we come back, we double back around. Yeah, we do double back around. Likewise, spawning spine crawlers on the way. We go straight for the mineral line, and oh, so far, no major damage. Just one drone kill. Just one. Just one drone. Meanwhile, the bunker does finish. Does barely finish up. And Clem is gonna get a hand here. 1, 2, 3 Zergling kills. The spine crawler still on the way. Queen still a ways away as well. We need a little bit more time. Every Zergling falls, and do we get into the mineral line? Up and out, settling for the spine. Settling for the spine crawler. More Reapers are amassing. Spine crawler so very low. Oh god. And this is getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand here. Oh my god. Jesus. Oh no, the spine! Yeah, the spine is low. Barely survives. Reapers they can bypass. Clem has to be careful. Again, still our trading. Back at home, we do have that factory. We have the follow-up. And this entire time, Sol's been stuck on one base. He's stuck on a one-base economy, making more Zerglings. So far, losing how many? 11 Lings have gone down. Oh no, the Queen! No! Be careful. And with Link Speed, Solar should have an easier time cleaning this up, but it's still just been a rough start for Solar. I still shut everything down. Oh, Links get across the map. Oh my god! Links, they get in! 7 SCVs, there's nothing at home. There's nothing here. I didn't quite notice the Link counterattack, but a very nice move here by Solar. Very nice. 7 SCVs, there's nothing at home to defend. At the same time, oh, he's distracted! Clem was distracted. GG gets caught. He gets surrounded with that Solar. He will take a 2-0 lead in the series. GG. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, GG well played. Again, a cheeky build here by Clem, and it wasn't looking too bad. Like, there was definitely potential there, but Solar, he snuck out some Zerglings across the map. They wreak havoc. I assumed that Clem was going to be able to get into his factory, into his Helene production, but no, he went reactor first. He went factory into reactor, and as he was building up his own factory production, he lost 7 ACVs across the map. He was crippled, he was distracted, and Solar got the surround. GG. GG well played. There was potential, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of potential for damage there, but In the end, it did fall apart. GG. GG, well played. As with that, we're getting ready for game number 3. Let's go. So 20 more workers by the 7-minute mark. Yeah, for sure, for sure. The Foxer in the chat. Something that we did mention at the beginning of the broadcast, we've been glossing over that has been permeating throughout all of these Zerg matchups is, of course, the lava change. We spoke about it initially when it comes to the update to the PTR and the update to the patch, but it does mean that in general here, Zerg production has been bolstered, has been boosted. That has allowed for some stronger early game defenses as well, and some stronger early game map control, which came into play especially in the game on Ruby Rock for sure. On Ruby Rock. But here we go, spawning in the right hand corner of White Rabbits, we have the blue Terran player. We have the French Terran, the French Terran player himself, down in the series. Can he bounce back and make a series out of this? We have the French Terran for Team Liquid. It is Clem. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner of White Rabbits, we have the red Zerg player, the red Zerg player himself. We have the South Korean Zerg leading the series 2-0. It is Solar. Here we go. I did just notice Reynor's tweet. He just tweeted after his series. We were, of course, featuring him earlier. He was like, "Yo, it's the first." we had Reynor smile for the first time in a long time, Bappy. True. We brought back his smile, but at what cost, Bappy? At what cost? So for those who are curious, Reynor just tweeted, "A biggest smile I've had in quite a while while playing SE2 today," which is in reference to his series versus Classic. And is making reference to the lava change, of course. He can smile again. Can we bring him back from the Rift, from League of Legends? Can we bring him back? The return of Reynor. No. Meanwhile, we do have a delayed gas. It's going to be a later gas, early pull here by Solar. So pull first into a later hatchery, into a non-insistent gas geyser. Ling production has begun, and we do see that this time it's going to be Solar being the aggressor. Let's go. Here we go. We do have our 6 Lings moving out across the map. Bearing in mind that Clem does go for... Oh, what is going on? Let's go, baby, let's go. Clem going for a single gas opener into a factory before CC, by the way, which is crazy. Solar's here to punish the command center, which is going to be later than usual. I'm sure Solar's aware. He's like, hold on, what's going on? Where's the CC? Lings, they will avoid the main Reaper scout. Reaper does go through the center. Lings, they bypass, and ideally they want to force a cancel, and we'll see if they find some more damages. So far, there is potential here to disrupt that production. And reactors on the way. Boys are being pulled. Reaper does turn back around. And can we force that cancel? He does. Does force a cancellation. There's the add-on swap here for Reactor Hellion, and does land in time. Whew. I was worried we were going to see the Lings get under the factory. That would have been disastrous. I mean, it already is, as SCVs are getting low. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. 3 SCV kills, getting up to 4. Oh my god. Yeah, 4 SCVs going down, but should be stopping at 4. And a brutal start. 4 SCV kills, no CC on the low ground. A brutal start here for Clem. And Solar, look at the drone count. Oh god. 30 drones. Link speed is on the way. We're still mining gas as well. Solar is having fun. He's having fun. He's enjoying himself. From here, Solar can now take up into a Roach Horn, into a Bane Bus, into a Fast Lair. Solar, he can do whatever he wants. What do we want to do, Bappy? No. And Clem is miles behind. We can see he's going to be for a Fast Lair. Okay. So we're going into that lair. You know, boys are being pulled. Drones getting roasted. So far, getting 2 drone kills. An okay start, but we need more than that. Two drones going down. We're imagining that this is going to be 2-base Muta. I would imagine here. Out of Solar. As Hellions get locked down, they get surrounded. Oof, some rough losses here for Clem. Likewise, I don't believe Clem has seen the main. Yeah, he's not aware of the lair or the gases, so Clem is playing blind. Clem does at least know there's no third expansion, so that is a sign of things to come, a sign of 2-base play, a sign of 2-base lair. As Clem, you can see, is trying to confirm. Checking for the third. There's that spy for Solar. Clem getting to his own 1-1-1. Cloak Banshee. Again, still unaware. Do we have anything at home to defend? Uh-oh. Lings, you can just walk in. Oh no! Yeah, Lings, they just walk in. SCVs are going down. Mules as well. Heavy losses. GG gets called. And Solar, he will claim the series 3-0. Solar, he will advance on into the semi-finals. GG. Ooh, look at his smile. Yeah. Yo, Zerg players have gotten their smiles back, Bappy. It's been years. They're like, yo, this patch is crazy. They're like, Bappy, we can play some games, Bappy. It's, oh my god. Reynor and Sola enjoying themselves, enjoying their lives. I want to say even Lambo cracked a smile before as well. I want to say a little bit. GG, well played. With that, again, we saw a very chaotic game from both players that last game. Solo going for the early pool, meanwhile Clem was going factory on one base before CC, so some shenanigans ensuing, and it led into a very chaotic game state. In the end, Solo was able to punish, able to shut down the Hellions, shut down the Reapers, deal critical economic damage, and just snowball out of control. Was a very awkward game there, as it felt like Clem was just kind of throwing what he could at the wall to see what would stick. In the end, none of it stuck, back. GG, well played. And once again, when it comes to the PTR, it's been live for like a day, if that. It's still very new. When it comes to the updated PTR, I should emphasize it is the updated PTR that we're playing on. And of course, we have been experiencing some Zerg enjoyment so far in the bracket, as we can head on over and catch up with the bracket itself. Again, for those that are curious in regards to the specific changes that have been occurring, as I very quickly update the brackets. Un momento. I got you. There we go. When it comes to the specific changes, comparing PTR to PTR, where I would say that Terran were having a much stronger showing in the first iteration of the PTR. I was alluding to especially Ghost play in the late game, if we could get to the late game, but we saw that these games were very fast. Aside from the game on Ruby Rock, which was a little bit more back and forth and very intense, by the way. It was a very intense game, but it did feel like it was on a knife's edge the entire time for Clem, where if at any moment he would let up the aggression, then everything would just fall apart, and eventually it did fall apart. But when it comes to the changes influencing this matchup here, we of course have the larva change, with the larva rate being increased. So in general, production has been increased for Zerg all across the board. Likewise, queens are also cheaper. They're back to being cheaper as well, from 175 to 150 minerals, so it does make them a little bit easier to amass up to be able to defend early on as well. When it comes to Terran changes, they were mainly Ghost related for the late game, but we never got to really experience that. We did see Ghost play, of course, on Ruby Rock, but that was a little bit more happening in that game, which did lead into things going awry for Clem, I should emphasize. But yeah, again, with said increased lava rate, it does mean that Zerg players have had a stronger road to the early to mid game, getting a higher drone count faster, getting their production going a lot faster as well to be able to build up an army, and which has been allowing for some easier defensive play, and again, stronger mid game in general, which we did experience in all said matchups. I will say though that when it comes to the ZVPs, it was that alongside as well the fact that because of the Protoss changes, we saw some heavier defensive play by both Classic and herO. We saw a lot of attempted Stargate play as well. I do still stand by the idea that I'm not too fond of Warpgate costing resources to morph in, just because again that's from our experience so far in both PTRs has been forcing more defensive play out of Protoss, which I feel like is not what we want. But you could also argue that, hey, the updated PTR, it only just went live and there's still room for growth. There's still room to like explore things and to maybe find some other like ways to approach the game, and for players to maybe explore and figure some things out. I would agree with that for sure, but I still would say my big thing aside from, you know, some maybe proposed changes that I would want, is that that we don't have to wait 3 weeks for the next updated balance patch, right? That's the big thing for me, is that it did take us 3 weeks for us to get an updated version and for us to get the PTR version 2 essentially. It took 3 weeks for that to happen. I would hope that if we have a version 3 on the horizon, it doesn't take 3 weeks to get there. I would hope that a week, you know, after a week, after a bunch of testing is done, after like some consensus is made and some revelations are had, that we can have some more frequent updates here from the Blizzard team. I also know, of course, that the Blizzard team is smaller. It is the classic department, right? The classic team, they're not just in charge of StarCraft, they're in charge of Warcraft 3, StarCraft Remastered, Heroes of the Storm. Like, they rotate, they work on other games. Of course, we don't have like a dedicated team working on StarCraft on the PTR, so they go through these cycles where they can go back to it and work on it before going back to like Diablo 2 or going back to Heroes of the Storm or things of that nature. So we can't ask for too much, but I would hope that the time in between said iterations is a little bit shorter moving forward. That is my hope, at least. It's my hope. Regardless, GG well played. Again, congratulations to our players here. Again, strong showings here from Maru, Reynor, Lambo, and Solar. Really fast games, really short series overall. 3 zeros are bound. And can we avoid that ZVZ finals? The pressure is on Maru for tomorrow, bearing in mind that tomorrow is going to be the semifinals and the grand finals of this event. So best of luck to all the remaining players, to Maru, Reynor, Lambo, and Solar, as they'll be facing off tomorrow. Likewise, when it comes to the events, a big shout out to GSL and Soup for, of course, hosting, for providing for the event. Big shout out to Shin as well. From my understanding, Shin, he's one of the great minds behind this event, has been doing a lot of admin work, has been piecing it all together, has been working alongside Soup and GSL to make this happen. So a big shout out to Shin. And of course, if you want to help support the GSL to allow for more events like this to happen, or for even a 3rd season of GSL proper to occur, then Patreon is the place to be. Patreon.com/GSL. Again, if you want to help support StarCraft and support not just Korean StarCraft, but StarCraft as a whole, as GSL is now open globally for foreigners as well, then you can do so via the Patreon, as you can help us reach our next set of stretch goals. Can help us out. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for the support. We're going to be wrapping up here for the time being. Again, tomorrow in less than 24 hours time, we will have Maru versus Reynor and Lambo versus Solar, 2 best of 5s, and then that best of 7 finals as well. It'd be crazy, man. It would be crazy. Again, if you want to check more of ourselves out, here on the CranKy Ducklings, we cast StarCraft on a daily basis. We cast more StarCraft than anyone else out there, or at least that was the case in 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. We logged the most amount of hours casting tournaments and covering tournaments. I will say that this year we have taken a bit of a step back. This can be Wardy's year now to overtake us, might be true. Where this year, where we're taking a bit of a step back. If you've been tuning into our broadcast, we just then you would have heard, but some things have happened IRL, so not as available to cast twice a day every single day, morning and evening. Nowadays we just cast once a day, and when it comes to this schedule, bam, you can see our schedule here. We just wrapped up with our GSL CK broadcast, and again tomorrow we'll be back with some more GSL CK as well. We also cover other events like regular weekly tournaments, OSC events as well. This season, again, in years past, we were the B stream for Home Story Cup, but this year we are not covering Home Story Cup. We're based in Australia, and we basically cast from like, I don't know, 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. for Home Story Cups. And again, this year we're calming down on the D-Gen schedule of casting. We're calming things down and you know, sleeping. It's crazy. We can sleep. We can. We most likely will get around to covering Home Story Cup via replays more than anything, instead of live coverage that we usually provide. Via replays instead. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, if you're out there, in regards to specifically the PTR, because this is a PTR event, I would suggest, ideally, when it comes to your thoughts, when it comes to your opinions, to ideally wait for things to play out a little bit, and then of course provide some well-constructed criticism in terms of feedback. I know that I think there's like a thread on Reddit, there's like a feedback thread, like a mega thread that has been made, and you can of course give your feedback there. I'm sure that Blizzard are listening. They of course have already provided an amendment patch, and we're hoping that that continues, of course, and we get more of that. So do of course voice your constructed criticism and feedback there, ideally. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Take care, baby. Take care. So just catching up. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for the support, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for some more GSL CK action. See you then. See you tomorrow. Until then, ciao. Bye, ciao. Hasta luego.